just so real. Already know exactly how you feel. See the head, not like seeing a steeple. You damn well know they're one of the people. Nobody breaks us, 'cause nobody made us. And no one can take this, 'cause we got their fix. We are the people, we are the people, we are the people. Don't mess with this.
Good morning. It is Patrick and the people, and sitting here right now with the Bruce Buffer of Arkansas, Rich Rockwell. What's going on?
Good morning.
Man, you got some big stuff going on, man.
Man, we are. I can't talk about it all yet.
Okay, that's okay.
But stay tuned, man. There is so much excitement going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of big things going on behind the scenes pertaining to your upcoming new program, the intermission.
Yes.
Pertaining to matches that are coming up, big events that are coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Including Rude Awakening March 1st.
Yep.
That's coming up. That's going to be a real big event for you guys.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be our return. I know a lot of people are excited about it. We had taken off. We were in Hot Springs originally at
Right.
Baby's Bar and Grill, and we had taken off for a few months, and we just really needed to kind of look at our promotion and restructure it a bit and make some changes. And of course, one of those changes is now coming here to the Patrick and the People studio for it. So
Yeah, no, I'm excited that that it's working out so well. I know that you said you had pre-sale tickets available now.
yeah,
Is that
yep.
right?
I was just getting ready to mention that. So
Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
as of yesterday, the box office is now live. You can go to Facebook and either type in Vapors Championship Wrestling or Rude Awakening, and you'll find the link right there. and
Let's
you
get
can
that
just-
information also over to Brandon so he can get that
Okay.
on, get that posted on our socials and on the blog as well.
Absolutely. But they are live. You can get. So we're going to have a
Matter of fact,
VIP.
We might do a blog write-up about some of the featured matches with a link in there.
You know what?
As well.
I
And
could
I bet you
probably
could
do
do
that
that.
and get it on the
Yeah.
intermission blog.
Yeah.
So that'll be done today.
There you go.
Today you'll be able to find the
See,
link.
that's how a show meeting happens right there. You're live and hearing it, seeing it, whatever.
Hey, and I know they can't see it, but we are live on TikTok through my TikTok at least.
Yeah,
So what's
yeah.
up, TikTok? How
What
you
up,
doing?
TikTok?
What we got going on? What you got going on,
Man, I
Anything?
got all kinds of stuff going on right now. Today, I was neglectful yesterday, but today I promise we will air the interview with Richard Anderson, the science fiction writer. Really good interview. And then we've got a couple of great guests that are coming in today to sit with us, one of which being Jerry Brumett. He is with Botanical Neutraceuticals. And
Man, that's
yeah, I know it's a mouthful, isn't it? And then also Chase Murphy with Good Day Farms is going to come and talk to us a little bit about the industry, about the way that the modern day weed is marijuana is done. Because it's so much different than throwing some seeds in the woods somewhere, growing it and.
There's a whole science
Yeah,
to it now.
you didn't
man.
even have a name for it back then. It was just the weed the guy had.
Right.
There were no names, sometimes you'd get some skunk, but otherwise it didn't. I guess the only name
We
I
used to
ever
call
heard
it
other
green-
Christmas tree. I
Oh,
knew
okay. I was gonna say we used to call it green Pepsi or something.
that. Yeah,
You
but
talk
those
in
were just
code,
stupid
but-
code names.
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they didn't have names like Super Funky Number 9 and all that. It was
Yeah.
just, here's some weed. Do you want it or not?
Remember when it used to be called dope?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, and then that got changed over to meth. It was dope.
All right.
And now dope
And that
is-
stuff really will
then-
make your brain
And
turn
then
into a
5 years
scrambled egg.
ago, dope became everything was great. It's dope, dope AF. So that just shows you how things change, even in your lifetime. That's at least 3, maybe 4 different meanings.
I was gonna
'Cause
say,
they used to call
now that-
people
yeah.
dopes. You're
Yup.
such a dope.
You're such a
you know,
dope, yeah.
Which is why they started calling weed dope, because
I never put that together. Thank you.
That is why. Yeah.
Secret of life. hacked.
Man, you never know. It's the stupid things, man. It's always the silly things that you're like, oh, that makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah, that's why. And that happens to me usually
That's like
daily.
I still, we probably laugh once a month about this, but I'll never forget standing at the store and telling my wife, she goes, do you want to, this was probably, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago. She goes, you want a candy bar? And I said, yeah, just get me one of those nut ragoos. And she goes, what? She goes, you mean nutrageous? And I was like, oh. I overthought that one by a degree or two, honey. I'm an idiot, you know. It's just facts,
Nut
man.
ragoos.
Nut ragu, baby.
Man, what we got going on today? Any good news?
Well, we got some news going. Let's get to it real quickly here. And the Trump administration set to buy $400 million worth of armored Tesla vehicles. The procurement was first seen in December 2025. Yesterday, revised on the State Department site. Contract didn't specify what type of Tesla vehicle, but from all the reports, they were talking about buying basically the armor-plated cyber trucks. But I don't know if they push pause on this contract or what, just to avoid the appearance of impropriety, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We'll see. Ozempic, you know it. That's the one everybody's losing weight on. May also be useful to help people stop drinking. New research shows it reduces cravings and liquor consumption. That's what the first clinical trial involving GLP-1 drugs shows. According to the research published, it was in the Journal of Psychiatry. It involved studying people with moderate alcohol use disorder, demonstrated that people on low doses for just 9 weeks drank significantly less than those on a placebo. So, man, it may turn out Ozempic does lots of things for you.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. I was talking to somebody about that the other day, and I can't remember. And I was just looking up here to see if there is any updates on it. Apparently, there either is or it's in the beginning process, is what Google says here. But it sounds like they're getting ready to file a class action against Ozempic.
Is that right?
For like a
For
lot
some
of
side effects.
Yeah, one of those. If you've taken this
Yeah.
and suffered from
Well,
your brain falling out of your butt, yeah.
I would expect that. I've seen some different things that have come of it. Like a handful of people have gotten blind from it.
Really?
Blindness, yeah, which is kind of wild. You know, it's a trade-off.
I
there.
guess that's
You
kind
look
of a.
good,
I
but
was gonna say
you can't see yourself in the mirror.
that's
How
one of those
ironic.
playoffs of, man, you're so skinny. If you turn sideways, you'll just disappear.
Yeah, you look like a zipper.
Yeah.
If you stick your tongue.
Now the whole world does.
All right, let's see. All right, here we go. NASA has been keeping an eye on an asteroid that could hit Earth in 2032. Chances are still slim. The probability of the impact has gone up since being discovered a few weeks back. Now it's just over 2%. The number has doubled from the initial estimate in late January. NASA estimates that the asteroid 2024 YR4 is between 130 and 300 feet across. The impact would more than likely only cause some local damage, not enough to threaten the planet. But it could put a nice hole in the ground and shake up the area.
Right.
Probably land on my house. Let's see. Avril Lavigne is going back on tour, if you need to know.
Oh.
Let's see.
I thought she died.
No, she did have what is it that you get from the disease from ticks? Lyme disease.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she struggled with that for a while. A lot of times, people get that disease and until they get it under control, it might be 2, 3, 4 years. They really
just go
have
through
a lot
it,
of
huh?
struggle. Yeah, and I think she went through like 5 years of trying to get that under control. So I think she's just now really getting back out there.
Right.
Upstate New York Zoo is going to auction off paintings done by animals as part of its Dream Big Gala night out on the town. They'll be holding a silent auction of artworks by penguins, capybaras, sloths, and giraffes. The zookeeper showed the secret to getting the penguins to paint. They're very food motivated, and if some days they don't feel like using food, they'll chase around a cat laser.
Oh.
I didn't know
Okay.
birds would do that.
Huh.
That's
Penguins
interesting.
chasing cat litter.
Yeah, well, we got to make them paint one way or the other, right? Yeah, you get to painting, penguin. That's what you do now. I don't care if you want to lay up on the ice. You're going to paint.
All right.
Baby. You're going to make us money.
Zoos running paint sweatshops with the animals.
Right. That's it. That's it. Paint sweatshop for the animals.
They just got them all set up at a table with.
Yeah, that's great. That didn't take long. Southern District Judge George O'Toole Jr. ruled yesterday that labor unions lack the legal standing to challenge Trump's deferred resignation program. That allows it to proceed. That's the program that offered federal employees 8 months of pay and benefits if they voluntarily resign, which, as of last estimate, 65,000 had said so. Right now, they said that, at least according to Doge, that they're saving taxpayers $1 billion a day.
Yeah. I mean, that's
a lot.
I have no issue. I think it's a great thing.
No,
I don't understand why everybody is coming out, and I get party loyalty and all that, but at some point, like, why are we not like? If somebody came to me and said, "Hey, man, this person's stealing, $100 a day from your wallet or whatever,"
yeah,
I'd be pissed.
no, I mean, look, in any company, if you are supposed to be ordering food, let's say if you work for Mickey D's, right?
Right.
You're a manager there, and you're supposed to order food, but instead you order social justice.
Right.
Well, then you're probably going to be fired.
Yeah.
If you're ordering things for another country where you don't serve food, you're probably going to be fired.
Right.
And now, look, it's mind-boggling to me to watch these people, the media, do backflips to try to somehow turn this around and say, "Oh no,
they're
him in there is
overstepping."
terrible."
Yeah.
So if we hadn't let him in, what would have happened? You know what would have happened? It would have just kept going. And you know what it also demonstrates is all these people who've come along, and we've heard it our whole lives. We're going to come in, we're going to save the taxpayer money, we're going to start cutting things down. They've all been liars.
Right.
Every one
That's
of them
been the
have
biggest
liars.
lie in the book.
Yeah, they've all been liars. Every one of them that said they were going to do something.
Oh yeah.
And you can look at it and see now. It's like, wow. I mean,
We finally have somebody that's doing it.
Yeah,
And we've all known that about
Look,
Trump. He does what he says he's going to do, one way or the other.
70 new poll from Rasmussen said 70% of people believe that he's doing what he said he would do.
I mean, I
whether
do.
they like it or don't. I
Right.
mean, that's what they believe, and he seems to be doing it.
Look, for all the, it was shown to me the other day, and I'll just personally, for me, this is where I made my decision at. But of course, the media is always pushing this, oh, people are getting mad at him. They're not liking what he's doing and everything.
Right.
He was at the Super Bowl. The whole crowd cheered for him.
Yeah.
They were cheering loud. Like, I don't think as much as they're pushing the agenda of people being mad, there's really that many normal Americans like you and me.
No, I think most 80% of people, I'll continue to say, are reasonable, rational human beings who probably don't care nearly as much about party as they just do their own lives day to day and what affects them.
Right.
I just want to pay my bills,
Right.
have a little left over for some beer or a little smoke, hang out with my family or my friends. And
Take
not
the
be
kiddo
bothered.
somewhere fun.
Not be bothered.
Yeah.
Not be beat over the head with whatever you got going on.
Right.
That's all most people want, and this is common sense shit. This is not, to me, this is not a I mean, it is political, but it's not. It's not, to me, I don't care who's doing it.
Right.
It could have been anybody
Right.
that was doing this, not have been celebrating it.
Right.
Because we've been needing to get, and clearly, everybody's suspicions were worse than we thought.
100% on, yeah.
I mean, I'm sending millions of dollars to Serbia.
Right.
I'm sending millions of dollars to other countries for, to promote agendas that don't have anything to do with our country.
And on top of your back of doing 2, 3, 4 jobs just to try and make it.
Yeah, but I think what people are seeing and what's tripping them out is what some refer to as the legacy media has been broken.
Well,
I mean,
that's for sure.
They're not, for a long time, they've been able to tell you this is what it is. They were very powerful.
Right.
They had a grip over people.
Oh, yeah.
Because a lot of people, high percentage, believed what they were being told.
Well, look,
And we all woke up and went, wait a minute.
I was going to say, do you remember years ago when, like, the big push was, fake news, fake media, just turn it off, don't even watch it?
Yeah.
One of the first people that signed up.
Yeah.
I haven't watched the news
I don't watch the news.
Yeah, because why?
No, first of all, I can read the news
right.
when I want to, but I don't watch it because all they do is shove bleak doom down your throat.
Right.
And, look, I'm excited. Look, if they can save this kind of money, the benefits to us are phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
I would love
absolutely.
to see that. I mean, they're already now talking about cutting taxes.
Yeah.
Which is, thank you.
Right?
Clearly,
Please?
you're not using them well. I'd rather let me decide where I donate my money. I don't need you to pick to send it over to, wherever, whatever country for a trans
Condom
opera.
science and
Yeah, all those things.
Oblivia or something.
Whatever,
Yeah, whatever it was.
All right, let's move on. House Republicans introduced a budget resolution yesterday that proposed extending $4.5 trillion in tax cuts, also though raising the debt ceiling by $4 trillion to support the domestic agenda. The plan seeks to reduce federal spending by $1.5 trillion, aiming for a total reduction of $2 trillion over the next decade, which could become way more than that depending on Doge. Senate Republicans working on a similar but narrower plan focused on border security and defense without addressing tax cuts. They aim to pass a resolution by the end of the month and finalize it by Easter. Say what you want. I'm shocked. Here's another thing I'm shocked about right now in this administration, and some of it has to do with that they have control of the Senate, the House, and all that. But,
Right.
Most, like if you remember Trump's first term, they probably shut down several of his cabinet nominations.
Oh, yeah.
This time, he had cabinet nominations that were very uncommon, and a lot of people, I say a lot of people, many people were noisy and tried to push back on.
Right.
But as of yesterday, Tulsi Gabbard
Really?
was confirmed
Wow.
as Trump's director of national intelligence.
I'm kind of surprised about that one, man.
I was surprised too. And now they're saying that RFK is out of the smaller groupings where they meet.
Okay.
I forget. It starts with a C. But anyway, they get together, the smaller group, and he's out of that and into they're getting ready to confirm RFK as well. Is what I'm
Okay,
saying.
gotcha.
So you're going to have all of these really over the, very different from any. I've never seen anybody that I know put people from more or less the other side of the aisle
Right.
into dominant, important positions in your cabinet.
Right.
And I don't know, that may not speak to some people, but as someone who's more independent, it does speak to me.
I
Because
mean,
I'm like,
I
hey,
agree.
you know what? Why wouldn't you
Right.
leverage everybody, that you can, no matter where their ideas come from?
Well,
And I think there are people who also woke up and went, wait a minute,
right.
this is the world being pulled over our eyes right now.
This and forgive me, I could be, blowing smoke out of my ass here, and
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not
probably.
an expert or anything, but it goes right along with the lines of who the president is, man. We aren't looking at career political politicians that are running it right now.
No.
We're looking at people with a business mind, which is what we needed, that are cracking open the books and going, what financially is wrong with this country?
It's like we called John Tapper.
Right, for real.
It's like Bar Rescue. We made a phone call, cracked open the books, and now he's going to come in and tell us why we suck, And then
Clean up that grease trap.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to open the restaurant again in a couple days, have everybody back after the stress test, and you know how the show goes.
Right.
Y'all Street, as in y'all, is about to be a thing. The New York Stock Exchange announced plans yesterday to relocate its Chicago branch to Dallas, rebranding it as New York Stock Exchange Texas. They have the largest number of New York Stock Exchange listed companies out of all states. They represent over $3.7 trillion in market value. That's amazing.
Wow.
That's a lot of dough. I know all you seamstresses out there. Y'all can't even sew a button on. Stop it. Joanne Fabrics and Crafts is closing 500 to 800 stores nationwide as part of the Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The direction follows a careful analysis of store performance and future strategic fit, aiming to right-size the company's footprint. Less people sew, less people make their own stuff in that capacity, and so they got to cut it down.
Yeah,
I mean, that's just facts. Less people cook. You know how it goes. California farm donated over 300,000 eggs to wildfire victims. Well, that's great. How are they going to cook them?
I mean,
I
there's still
should
probably
say.
some heat around there.
Yeah, no, maybe so. Yeah. Let's see. A bronze statue of renowned author F. Scott Fitzgerald was stolen from outside the former St. Paul Academy building in Minnesota, where he studied from 1908 to 1911. The theft discovered Tuesday when maintenance staff noticed the statue missing from its pedestal. The 3-foot tall sculpture, valued at about 50 grand, installed in 1996 to honor his legacy. The community seems upset over it, reportedly carried out with the help of a cutting torch to free it from its place. So if you see someone running around with a 3-foot statue of F. Scott Fitzgerald, holler at Minnesota's police, would you? How about some good news? You need that in your life, and we got some. Last Thursday in Las Vegas, 14-year-old Chelsea Madrigal was struck by a pickup truck while crossing in a crosswalk on her way home from school. Bystanders rushed from every direction to help the teen, including April Sago, who held her hand, comforting her while they waited for the ER. As she laid in the road, she said, "Am I going to die?" She said, "Not today if I can help it." Her mom was waiting for her daughter, only learned of the accident when her daughter's iPhone location updated to show she was at the hospital. She said her daughter suffered a broken jaw, broken arm, spinal cord injuries, but despite that, the teens kept a positive attitude, said everything's going to be okay. The driver at the truck remained at the scene after the accident, told authorities he didn't see her. He got a citation for failure to yield the right-of-way. No drug or alcohol is involved. But she's received visitors, a lot of people coming out to support her. So that's great, man. That's great. And then here's a wild story. Air Force Senior Airman Sebastian Dalton. He is a pararescueman with the 57th Rescue Squadron. Recently, he saved an injured skier's life in the Alps. Yeah, while skiing in preparation for an upcoming rescue course in Switzerland, he came across an Austrian skier with a severe leg injury. They were being helped by an Italian couple. He applied a tourniquet, packed the wound, helped care for the injured man until the helicopter got there to get him to a hospital. Despite being a pretty new skier, he relied on his medical training and experience to manage the emergency. And, he said, "Man, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do." But
Right.
basically, he saved that man's life, so that's great. That's good to see that. The band Dorothy. Dorothy's new song with Slash, Tombstone Town, now has an official video. Not the only news. The Way, that's an upcoming album from Dorothy, which will be released, March 14th, as a matter of fact. Dorothy's hitting the road for tour. The Redemption Tour will kick off March 21st in L.A. And then go across the country. You can go over to their website and get dates for that. Great band. I like Dorothy. They're really good.
I've never heard of them.
Yeah, no, they're good. They're real good. Liam Neeson, and you can go to our blog and see this. I think it's already posted. He's once again taken up the mantle of one of his most iconic characters. He stepped back into his role as Brian Mills from the Taken franchise,
Okay.
not for the reason you think, but to sell a house. In a video promoting a house for sale in Australia, Neeson provided his famous voice for the ad, addressing the realtor, and he said, "Listen, Ming, I'm shooting a movie at the moment. Do a video and send it to me." But the clip's real funny. It's real clever, and good for this realtor who made friends with Liam Neeson to get him to be in a home for sale listing ad. That is great.
Right?
To get that, he'll sell that house quickly, I would imagine. How bad are egg prices right now? Have you considered renting chickens? Because people are. Eggs are headed to an all-time high, so the obvious thing was to get temporary chickens, right? A company called Rent the Chicken is a real simple name. Sometimes you just got to keep it on mission, A company called Rent the Chicken is letting people rent chickens, feed in a coop, so they can get their own eggs at home without the long-term commitment of buying the chickens outright. Packages run from a few hundred to a few thousand for 5 to 6 months, with chickens laying between 16 and 28 eggs per week.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
That's a
thinking
thing now.
You gonna rent some chickens?
No.
No.
But I did hear the Amish Powerball was up to like 4 dozen eggs, man.
Is that right?
Yeah, I was
Wow,
gonna buy me a ticket.
That's great.
Carve one
Yeah. Mr. Taylor Swift is in consideration mode. Travis Kelce, the Chiefs star tight end, thinking about his future in football after their loss to the Eagles. At 35, he's feeling the toll of lots of seasons. On his podcast with Jason, said he hadn't decided yet if he'll keep playing, but he's got to make a choice before tomorrow.
That dude's not an idiot, man. He went there, he sat there and went, we got hit a lot during that game.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hurt.
And I'm rich.
Right, and she makes $1 gazillion a year.
I'm now with Taylor Swift. I don't have to do any of this.
I don't have to do this
anything
anymore.
I can literally
I'll be a stay-at-home guy.
Yeah,
sure.
Just sing me a song, Taylor.
Right.
I'll see y'all later. Yeah. No, good for him. Good for him. Man, the Bulls. Boy, it's been a long time since Jordan, hadn't it? The Bulls had a tough game against the Pistons Tuesday. That's an understatement. By halftime, they were down 71 to 29.
Ouch.
Marking one of the worst first half performances in their history. The Pistons dominated, led by almost 50 points, eventually won 132 to 92. This tied the Bulls' record for loss, their largest halftime deficit, set a new team record for largest halftime lead in Pistons history, set a new season low for points scored in a half and quarter for the Bulls. When you realize the Bulls were outscored by Golden State by 42 points in the second half of their last game, meaning the Bulls have been outscored across 4 straight quarters by 77 points. Man,
Ouch.
the All-Star break can't get here soon enough for those. I'll tell you that.
Are either of those, because I'm not a big basketball follower, so, we're about halfway through the season right now?
Yeah, headed to the All-Star break. Yeah.
Okay, so are either of those teams really doing
No.
anything special
No,
or in the
not
lead
really.
for anything? No.
Not
Okay.
really. I mean, Golden State, but otherwise, no.
Yeah.
And I'm not even sure they're really a threat this year. Former New York Giants and Kansas City Chiefs wideout Kadarius Toney arrested and charged with aggravated assault due to strangulation of a woman. Based on the arrest record, the warrant issued for Toney says the 26-year-old was thrown behind bars in Douglas County on February 6th. Allegedly, he strangled the unnamed woman, held her phone away from her so she couldn't call 911 to report the emergency. The reports also indicate she suffered red marks on her neck, hemorrhaging in her eyes. They indicated Toney allegedly choked her with enough force to cause her to be unable to breathe. His camp has had no comment. So that's doesn't look good for him.
Yeah, that's usually not a good choice to do.
No, typically choking ladies out is not helpful.
I mean, yeah, not choking them out.
Not unless they ask.
All right.
I don't know what that means.
So, man, we got,
The wait's finally over. On Wednesday, All-Star infielder Alex Bregman agreed to just a decent contract if you're a baseball player, right? I mean, it's just a game, right? You don't even have to really be in that good a shape to play baseball, if we're being honest, right? I mean,
this is true.
He agreed to a 3-year, $120 million deal with the Red Sox, ending his long free agency saga. After months of waiting, he finally locked it down, and now they suddenly have a real shot at winning the loaded AL East division. His contract for 3 years, $120 million, with opt-outs after the first 2 years. But that's pretty strong if you're getting $40 million a year to play baseball. I'd say life's pretty damn good. Wouldn't you say life's good for you?
I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, matter of fact, if I was making 120 or 40 million a year for anything, I'd probably be pretty happy.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Certainly wouldn't be worried about the egg prices.
No, the egg prices. I'd be like, buy some more.
Right.
All right.
Buy the Rent-A-Chicken Company.
Yeah, buy the Rent-A-Chicken Company. That's right. And change the name, would you? What are the people saying out here?
Oh, man, we got, Deer Gigger says good morning.
Oh, what's up, Joey?
Michael Glover from Dad's After Dark, he's saying what's up. Speaking of which,
Mikey G.
Yeah, Mikey G, and I think I've talked about this before, but just reminding everybody, Mikey G from Dad's After Dark and JP Ford are going to be the official commentary team for Vapors Championship
Is that
Wrestling.
right? That
So
is
they will
awesome.
be here on March 1st. We got somebody coming in there.
I think we may have a guest.
We'll see when they pop in here. I was gonna say I'm looking over at my phone with TikTok. I guess we got kicked off of it because
Oh,
they
did
ended
you?
my live stream.
Come on in the studio, man.
Yeah.
I see you lurking out there. Hey, what's
Hey,
going
what's
on,
up, man? How you doing?
What's up, man?
Here, why don't we let him slide
Yeah,
in
you
here?
just
I'll
let him
slide
slide
over.
in
I'll
here.
check out my phone.
I'm super excited.
Here you go.
Oh, you just gonna hit Jerry like that?
Oh,
You good.
man, I'm
You
sorry.
good, you good, you good. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce our guest. I'm super excited about it, and I hope he is as well. Met Jerry. This is Jerry Brumett. Met Jerry by chance through a friend of mine. I was helping with a real estate deal, and we got to talking, and he started telling me about his business, and I was like, man, that's actually pretty damn fascinating. And so we got to talking, and I said, man, I think a lot of people would like to know more about that and what you do. So let me kind of set you up here for those who don't know. Jerry is part of Botanical Alchemy Neutraceuticals. They are a veteran-owned company out of Texas, and you guys do CBD sublinguals, but you do it very different than the billion people in the gas stations and all over the place where you can go in and get some kind of whatever it is in the jar.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, tell us a little bit about why you guys are different and what you're doing over there.
Yeah, sure. So first and foremost, we don't want to be a company that's a one size fits all, and we understand the science behind the CBD, all the other cannabinoids, and as well as the roles that terpene and flavonoids play into the medicinal and therapeutic benefits from those.
Yeah.
So we're able to change our recipes based on the patient's needs. So when a patient or a client buys one of our products, it not only comes as a product, but as a service. So we're able to, when they make a purchase, we, what's the word? We save their recipe in the system. If they have a specific recipe, they can try the product for 3 to 5 days or so.
Yeah.
And then if something's not working for them, if they're not getting enough sleep or anxiety relief or whatever, we'll tweak the recipe, save it in the system. That way, next time they order, they have a new
Right.
recipe.
So, and my assumption from what I understand, and tell me if I'm wrong, is that once you guys are they're a client that if it might take 2 or 3 times to kind of dial it in exactly where they need to be, but that you guys will keep working to get it to right where it needs to be for them.
That's right. And with cannabinoids, it's ever changing. It's not that your body builds a tolerance, but there is some science that suggests that it's on a curve, right? So you want to start out as low dose as possible and work yourself up to where you find
Right.
the maximum benefit, because there is such thing as too much. It'll
Yeah.
actually not work as well. You can't overdose on it, but there is a sweet spot, and that's what we aim to find.
Now, some people will use medical marijuana, but a lot of people, either can't because of their job, don't want to because they don't like the way it makes them feel, or they don't like the vehicle that it comes in, so to speak. So with CBD, you really get all the pleasure, or all the benefits, none of the guilt, so to speak. I mean, is that a fair way to say it? I mean,
Yeah, all the bang, no stick.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, with where the science is today, we're able to isolate CBD specifically. So for those who, can't have cannabis or THC products, we can create a product that doesn't have that in there. And we're able to isolate those things.
Yeah, so you can offer an abundance of different ranges of product depending on what the need is.
Correct.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So tell me this, first of all, how did you guys even get this? Where did this idea come from?
My co-owner and I, Doc, he's also a military veteran. We dedicated a life to service. He's
Thank you for your service, Doc.
prior paramedic and nurse, and he's quite a bit older than me, so he has a lot of experience in this field. But both of us, when I got out of the military, I was in Alaska, and
How was that, by the way?
I love Alaska.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody I talk to says it's one of the most beautiful places ever. Where were you in Alaska?
I was in Kodiak
Oh.
Island.
Oh,
and
wow.
then, yeah, I moved to
So,
Wasilla.
Kodiak Island, I just by the name, I'm going to guess that that's one of those places where when you walk out of a house, there's a cage there that you get in first. Is that right or no?
No, no, no.
Oh, okay. So it's not like that because there are some places like that in Alaska.
No, it's an island, and
Okay.
it's world renowned for fishing and hunting the Kodiak brown bear.
Okay. Okay. Did you have any bear experiences there?
Lots of bears.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Go ahead. Though. I sidelined you there.
No, you're good. So, anyways, I got out in Alaska, and I stayed on a property, a buddy's property of mine, and he actually owned a cannabis shop, and that's where I really got into cannabis. I managed their retail store. I did some cultivation, and I started manufacturing gummies. And
Okay.
I met up with Doc through all of that, and my woman and I got pregnant and
All right.
decided to move back home to the great state of Arkansas.
Yeah. No babies in Alaska. Nah. Kodiak Island's not going to do it.
We needed to be a little closer to family, so
Yeah.
we decided to move back home. And Doc and I have been talking for a while on starting a new business. So in that whole adventure, we opened up a store in Texas,
Okay.
Botanical Alchemy Neutraceuticals, and that's what we do.
You
now.
you
So-
say it so much. It sounds so much better coming out of your mouth than mine. I feel like I'm still trying to get the flow of it, man. But it's such a great name.
It is a long name.
No, but it's a good one. Now,
Bantex is
yeah,
the shorter version there. So
yeah, bantx.com. That's the website where you can go and you can kind of find what's the fit for you. Get that order in, and then you guys can move forward to customize it to make it a proprietary blend for you.
right, and a lot of customers may not know what exactly they need. There is a consultation form right there on the website. You can put your email address in there, and we'll get back to you. We'll set up an appointment, and we'll just talk to you. We'll go through whatever you want to disclose as far as medical history. If you want to disclose any, you can. If you don't, that's fine. But whatever
Or you
information
can
you're
give that
willing
to the
give
guy
us,
at the convenience store and see if it. I mean,
whatever information you want to give, so that we can serve you, we'll take that information, and that's exactly what we'll do.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. That's great. So you guys specialize in sublinguals, which is a drop that you put under your tongue, right? I mean,
Correct.
yeah. What is it about the sublingual that makes it more effective? Is it just because it's absorbed more quickly into the bloodstream?
Correct. It's not just quickly; it's also the percentage-wise. So
Okay.
under the tongue, you usually get about 80%.
Oh, okay. Versus.
Versus if you ingest it, let's say you had an edible, you
Okay.
wanted to ingest it, you only get about 20%.
Really?
Oh.
Wow, that's a huge difference. So through the digestive system, you lose the majority of benefits of whatever it may be. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. It's all about how much carries across the blood-brain barrier and what's metabolized.
Okay.
I always wonder that because, like, for me, like, gummies and all that, like, have never done. I mean, I could eat a whole bag and just be fine. It's like eating, a pack of gummy bears from the gas.
It's Laura is that way with, believe it or not, mescaline.
Yeah.
Yeah, they gave her that during her pregnancy when she was. Well, I'm not putting all her medications out, but nonetheless, let me just say this: it did not have any effect on the pain, and they told her to going forward, make sure and let any doctor know that you are basically immune to morphine.
Yeah.
Morphine, not mescaline.
Okay,
Morphine.
morphine.
Mescaline's something you get in the desert, like peyote.
Oh.
Morphine.
Right.
Morphine. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah, and ingesting, just to your point, ingesting too, there's certain enzymes that you need in your stomach as well to process it when you're ingesting. And Delta 9, when you take Delta 9, it actually converts to Delta 11 in your stomach. And if you don't have that enzyme, it doesn't work for you.
Okay.
Really?
Okay.
So
What controls whether you have that or don't have that enzyme?
I'm going to go with genetics.
Okay,
just-
okay.
Or-
I'll
or-
take
yeah.
genetics
I
for
don't know.
500,
What you
Alex.
get, huh?
No,
I don't know. It
but
could be
just,
the
it's not
current-
something you might be able to just flip a switch on. It's just either you got it or you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Something you
that
can go
would.
learn or develop.
So you're saying based on that, what I'm hearing is some people might not get anything from gummies. He may not have that enzyme and may
Right.
not ever get that, where it transforms
Right.
within there.
And my partner David is that way.
Really? Oh, wow. Okay.
But the tincture, the under the tongue, it's guaranteed whether you have that enzyme or not.
Yeah, it goes straight into the blood-brain barrier right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, thin
That
mucous
makes total
membrane.
sense,
So,
though.
yeah, I mean, it
I
really
always
does.
wondered, yeah.
Well, I know that, for a period of time that Laura had a tincture that when she had anxiety, she'd put a drop under her tongue, and within seconds, literally seconds, she would feel
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very
a
quick.
wave of relief, of calm,
It's very quick.
Yeah. What is it about CBD why does it work so well on so many things?
Well, in order to understand that question, you kind of have to understand, what is it and how does it interact with our body.
Yeah.
CBD specifically is a phytocannabinoid, which means that it comes from a plant, which is where you get phyto.
Yeah.
And cannabinoid is, the terminology is just, it's a molecular structure.
Yeah.
It's usually composed of 21 carbons and a 3-ring structure.
Okay.
So when scientists look at the cannabis plant, they found over 140 different cannabinoids so far, and
Wow.
they're still finding
They're
more.
still finding more.
Right. So that's all they're looking for. Now, in your body, how does it interact with your body? What does it do? Well, your body has its own endocannabinoid system. And what does that mean? Well, it already has receptors and it already produces cannabinoids. Now, those cannabinoids are an anandamide and 2-AG. Don't ask me to pronounce the
Okay.
AG part. It's
Okay.
a long
Don't ask me
medical
to spell
terminology.
cannabinoid.
Okay. I won't.
But 2-AG and anandamide are the two, and there's more, but those are the main two that are most studied so far.
Okay.
How does that work? Well, it basically, and to not get all sciencey,
Yeah.
it controls the flow of neurotransmitters. Okay, so one neuron in your brain has like 10,000 synapses.
Mm-hmm.
One synapses, when it wants to send a cellular message, when it's sending a neuron transmission, sometimes it tries to send too much.
Okay.
And it's like this. You have a
Mhm.
presynapsis and a postsynapsis.
It's like when your
The
internet
message
locks
travels
up.
across.
You get too much noise going.
Presynapsis, postsynapsis, the
Yeah.
message travels across. Okay. Let me know if I lose you here.
Okay.
All right, so as those messages become too much, what happens is your body naturally creates, on the spot, it creates a cannabinoid. And as it creates that cannabinoid, there is a receptor on the presynapses that it'll attach to,
Okay.
and it says, oh, okay, I've created too many messages.
Yeah.
A chemical reaction happens, it starts to block some of those messages and control that flow of neurotransmissions.
Okay.
And ultimately, it just creates a sense of homeostasis in your body.
Okay.
So it just controls the cellular messages. That's its primary function.
All right.
It's all over your body. I mean, it's in the gastrointestinal system. It's in your cardiovascular system. It's in your skeletal system. It's pancreas, skin, like you name it. You have CBD or CB1 and CB2 receptors all over your body
Okay.
that read these cannabinoids. Now, when your body is attacked, let's say you have an injury or there's inflammation or whatever the case is going on,
Mhm.
your endocannabinoid system is what
Transmits the message.
well, it's what controls those flows of messages, creating
Okay.
that homeostasis. Our endocannabinoid systems sometimes don't work as they should by lack of sleep,
Okay.
poor diet,
Ah.
poor exercise.
Uh-huh.
All the things.
I don't know anything about any of that, by the way.
All the things that Americans are, high stress.
Yeah.
All the things that affect us now every single day tax your endocannabinoid system within your body. And so your cellular messages, your neurotransmissions are just going crazy. And
Yeah.
so over time, that leads to a lot of these chronic issues.
Okay.
Now, how do we supplement that, or how can we change that using cannabis or phytocannabinoids? Well, we know now that those phytocannabinoids, as well as terpenes, can affect that system.
Yeah.
So it can help control those messages. And that's exactly why if you have anxiety and you take CBD with, other terpenes and things in there, it can do exactly that. And that's all it's doing is it's slowing down the transmissions.
It's slowing the messages down so
so
the
you're-
body can flow it out properly and it doesn't
Correct.
jam the system up.
Correct.
Is that
That's
about
exactly
right?
what's happening. Yeah.
Okay, so it stops the traffic jam of signals.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense actually.
Yeah.
So when I go over to Bantex or BANTX.com, that's the website. It's Botanical Alchemy Neutraceuticals. When I go over there, what kind of choices am I going to have?
Well, when you first go to the website, obviously, like I said, there's a consultation area. If you have no clue
Of where to even begin?
where to even begin,
Okay.
you can give us a call. You can put your email in there. We'll contact you. And David's really good. David's the one that's going to answer the phone. He has all the medical background, and he's really going to be the one that can hear you out
Yeah.
and really tell you what you're going to need. But our products on there as they are, there's Relief. Relief product is a sublingual. It's predominantly for anxiety, pain relief, sleep. We have all the different cannabinoids in there for that. There's also Relief Plus. Now, Relief Plus has THCP in it, which means it is intoxicating. So if you're not looking for an intoxicating substance, stick with the Relief. Relief Plus just has the THCP in it. But
Right.
Same effects, just a little bit exaggerated in those effects.
I was gonna say, when you say intoxicating, like it just makes you feel those effects,
Well,
or it's gonna show
like-
up
like
probably in a
marijuana.
test?
Like
Okay,
marijuana,
got it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it'll show up, and it is.
Yeah, it's not the one that you
psychoactive.
want to. If you're a pilot, you probably don't want
Or,
to take the
well,
plus.
Man, I was a FedEx ground delivery driver, and that's federal job technically. And
Yeah.
we had to follow federal rules. We weren't allowed to.
Right.
No,
get drug tests.
no. If you had done that and accidentally didn't know what you were doing, you
Right.
could fail your
Right.
test. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And again, that's part and parcel to being more educated. And I think all of us right now, we were just talking about this yesterday. It's really cool. Everybody kind of at once is coming into this more awareness of just the different things about our bodies we didn't know. Like, we've recently learned that the stomach basically is a second brain.
Yeah.
That it's the center of all these transmissions we're
Right.
talking about, and it's so critical your gut biomes, as they call them,
Right.
to your mental well-being and to many other things as well. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, bifidobacteria actually is super important.
Yeah.
If you're one of those anti-clot shotters, bifidobacteria were wiped out by the COVID shot. So that's why there's a lot of issues with gut and health right now.
Oh, really? The COVID
Oh.
shot wiped that out.
It killed. There's a lot of studies that show it actually killed a lot of the bifidobacteria, which is the good bacteria in your gut.
Really?
Interesting.
And so, as a result of that, I would imagine, that's directly impacting your wellness, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And that's scientifically
And so-
like proof. There's no,
Yeah, you can look up
that's not
studies. Yeah, there's.
Yeah, there's.
That's pretty amazing, when I stop and think about that, because that's not only not doing what it was actually designed to do, but it's now doing something negative.
Right.
And that would explain probably a lot more of that long COVID thing they talk about.
Right, I think so. And your gut bacteria, like you said, is directly connected to your mind.
Yeah.
You're talking about anxiety, depression, like a lot of mental stuff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And that's, you got a lot of people who are now using the GLP, the Ozempics or
Right.
different versions of it. By the way, if you don't know, and I've only recently learned this, there are secondary markets where you can buy the GLP in good form, much less expensive. And by much less, I mean
A lot.
much less, 80-90% less, and do it. You can do it that way. You don't have to go with the $2,000 whoever makes it brand. Because it is ridiculous. I don't know how much it is, $1,400, $2,000 a month if you have insurance. That's what the insurance is paying for it.
Right.
Right.
You may not be paying that, but your insurance damn sure is, and then you're paying the premium. So
Right.
it's a racket. But anyway, but I think all of us are coming into this health awareness, and everybody's beginning to become more invested in what's going in their bodies.
Absolutely.
You know, people are talking about microplastics, or they're talking about, you know, the different things from the processed foods. You know, we're now learning that the food pyramid is maybe one of the biggest hoaxes that have ever been perpetrated on a world. You know, I
That's
mean,
true.
it's absolutely upside down, to be honest. Matter of fact, if you have a food pyramid, throw that shit out. It's no good. No bueno. That's what's killing you. So thanks a lot for that, government. But anyway,
Well, the only person that really has your true health in mind is yourself.
well, you're right. I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
because most anyone else is in it for what? Money.
Right. If
Yeah.
you're relying on somebody else, it's a money game.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the reasons, as well. The medical industry, for a long time, pushed back on the medicinal properties of CBD because it's readily available, it's able to be replicated, it's way less expensive than 99% of the medications out there, and it impacts almost every region of the body. Is that
Absolutely.
fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, and this stuff goes back to like the late 1800s.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
probably before that,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, honestly, I mean, you just think about, you know, all the plants and things that people would inadvertently start chewing on. Look, if you lived in Colombia, if you lived in Colombia, you might be naturally skinny
yeah, I
because
mean,
you knew about this coca
Cannabis
plant.
has been
that
around
made you feel
probably
great.
since the beginning of time, but I'm
Yeah.
just, the late 1800s is actually when they isolated CBN. So like the science side of pulling the plant apart
Started in the 1800s.
in the 1800s.
Wow, that's a really
Yeah.
amazing.
And it wasn't until 1964, I believe, that THC and CBD were separated. But a large part of that was Israel and other countries. Definitely not the U.S.
Really?
because of the money game.
Yeah, right.
Pharmaceuticals, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I would imagine so, actually. So CBD came to prominence in other countries before here, really.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what's what would you call the country of origin, basically, of that drove that in the time?
I couldn't tell you that.
No,
I
I was
just know, I
curious.
do know Israel has done a lot of studies.
Yeah.
They're kind of
They need to be calm too, man. They get stressed out over there a lot. Trust me, you in Israel, it's a stressful area. You know what I mean? I'd need something to stay calm, probably more, maybe Valium. I don't know. Yeah, some mother's little help or something. But anyway, so you know, what else does CBD do that maybe people aren't aware of? How other ways can it be beneficial that aren't the top of the mind? Because a lot of people know anxiety, maybe, right?
Right.
Or a lot of people know inflammation.
Right.
Those are two things we hear. But what are other things that CBD does? Minus the euphoria, minus all that. Just talking about the CBD.
Well, CBD specifically, I mean, like I said, you have receptors in your body in pretty much all of your major systems.
Yeah.
So it is known as an anti-inflammatory, like that's one of its main properties. But I mean, it's a vasodilator. It affects.
So that opens up
right.
your
Dilates.
blood vessels
Correct.
and helps you produce more oxygen,
Correct.
oxygenate your body,
Correct.
which gives you a much better,
Correct.
makes you feel better.
Correct.
It's like getting the right mixture of gas and air,
You get blood flow to things that haven't had blood flow
Hey.
in a while. So,
Hey. Blew you out the window.
Yes, I mean, it could work for that as well. So,
Yeah.
Track
Yeah.
57.
Yeah, so that alone right there ought to be, that's a great one. That's a great third one to throw out there.
But really, I wanted to ask you that because I'm a medical card holder
Right.
of marijuana. Obviously, smoked off and on since I was 16 or whatever.
Right.
What is outside of I don't have to worry about taking a drug test if I'm doing CBD.
Sure.
But outside of that, what makes it different? What makes it better? I guess what makes CBD the better, safer choice over just straight THC, if there is one.
Well, there's some differences here. Okay, first you need to talk about when you start separating it, right?
Okay.
So you're saying if I take just marijuana or cannabis or hemp in Arkansas,
Yeah.
we can get into how they're pretty similar.
Yeah, they're real similar.
But if I just take that naturally raw versus an isolate,
Okay.
taking CBD, it's always better to take in conjunction with the other cannabinoids
Okay.
or other terpenes. you're going to get more of the therapeutic effect. And that's known as a synergistic effect, and that's known as the entourage effect. And so it's just saying
I like that name.
it works better.
So it's like an
In
enhancement.
concert.
It works better in concert than it does by itself.
But solo, for some people, is better,
better.
for a variety of reasons, as we've already
Correct.
said. You know, you can't do that because you're a crane operator, and
Right.
they don't like you to be skildered while you're
Right.
working a crane, you know, or you just don't like the way it makes. Look, some people, I know many people actually who, if they smoke or even did a gummy or anything, it gives them actually the opposite effect. They get anxious. They get all nervous.
And
They
you
get
can. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And so some people, it's just not a match for them.
Right.
The way their chemistry or the way their brain operates or whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
You know, and so I think that is probably the two dominant reasons that CBD would be a choice versus the other. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's definitely fair. Absolutely. And I'm not just saying just CBD. You know, products that have just CBD in them are definitely not going to be as therapeutic as, you know, it's in its natural form.
Right.
But there is an in between, which is what we do.
Uh-huh.
So we take CBD. If you don't want THC, you don't want to have the psychoactive effects, or you can't do it for your job, we take CBD along with lots of other cannabinoids, CBG, CBN, and we can get into all that, as well as terpenes. We take cannabis-derived terpenes, and we add those in there as well.
Really?
And that's going to help with that entourage effect.
So, for example, I only know this because I have arthritis. Limonene is highly used for anti-inflammatory as a terpene.
Correct.
Is that accurate to
That's
say?
accurate. Yes.
Yeah. So I know now, which I didn't. The more citrusy, typically that it smells, the more likely it is to have limonene
Correct.
in there, which helps with inflammation.
Correct. And for people that don't know what terpenes are the essential oils, basically, of the plant. So everybody pretty much knows now what the essential oil market is.
Yeah.
That is what a terpene is.
Yeah.
It is the specific oil in the plant that has a specific aroma, and it usually does, it has a certain attribute or a certain characteristic that it does.
So let's go back. You said CBD is one thing, but there's CBG, CBN.
Correct.
CBS.
There-
No, that's a sorry. So
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Yeah. What are CBN, CBG? Tell me what are these things?
Sure.
How do they differ?
Predominantly, we work with CBN, CBG. CBN is cannabigerol, and that one is basically its therapeutic effects are for bone health. It helps with bone mass. It helps with sleep. You know, that's predominantly where you're going to see it on the market is sleep. Now, there's some newer studies that suggest that it doesn't exactly help with sleep as much as they thought it did, but it is still therapeutic as far as sleep. In addition to that, it's also anti-inflammatory.
Yeah.
But predominantly sleep is what, we use that for. CBG, cannabigerol, is predominantly used as an anti-inflammatory. It's also really good for the gut health.
Yes.
Yeah, it helps with the gut health.
With the biome.
Yeah.
We talked about that earlier, where we've all come to realize, I guess, in the past few years, there's a brain center that or an intersection of all your superhighways in that biome. Yes, sir.
Real quick, Latasha Mack, watching on YouTube, wanted the website again to get a consultation.
BANTX.com.
And then she also said that she can't handle the psychoactive effects of marijuana. It makes her heart race.
Yeah. Yeah, and some people that's the case, and that also depends on. There's a lot of variables.
And
really,
we can make a product for you specifically. If you're looking online, I would start with Relief. I don't really know what you're looking for, but Relief is a good one.
Forgive me if I mispronounce this too. Mike Woodall just said he opted to test. Is it limonene?
Yeah.
Lemonade. Okay.
Lemonade.
He opted to test lemonines this week specifically because of your commercial for everybody, and with your conversation with Dr. Marla the other day.
Oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Now
Lots of people are really interested in it, man.
Yeah, I think that, and here in a minute we'll bring Chase Murphy up. Chase is the other side of the coin. He's with Good Day Farms, and he's going to talk more specific to that euphoric side and the other parts of that, But right now, what we're talking about is the medical, the CBD, the CBG, CBN, and all of these different things. So basically, whatever the individual is in need of, you can layer in some of these different things. And
Correct.
the doc, or doc as you call him, I don't know.
David. He goes by
David.
Doc. But
Okay. But when you talk to David or Doc, and you kind of go through things, he's going to go, okay, well, probably what we should do is da 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 da.
Right. And the sublinguals that we have on our website, they're a pretty good baseline. We've designed them to be pretty good. Like I said, we have Relief or Relief Plus. We also have Remission, which is for people that are dealing with cancer.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a lot of anti-cancer properties in them. We like to say it deals with the stress of cancer. It definitely is anti-stress, anti-anxiety. But there is a lot of anti-cancer properties in there. We also have Focus, if you're looking to kind of focus in on something. We also have Slim V, which is new for us.
Is that to help with facilitate weight loss?
Weight loss?
Yeah,
We
reduce
use,
hunger.
Yep, we're using THC-V as an appetite suppressant.
Okay, what
to
is
really help.
the V? Do we know?
Yeah, tetrahydrocannabinol.
Okay.
I think I said that right.
Yeah, it doesn't even
But
matter.
anyway.
I should have stayed with CBD.
The V, it's primarily the therapeutic effects that you get from it is an appetite suppressant. It's an anti-inflammatory, but it's also kind of an upper. It gives you a little bit of energy,
Yeah.
and so you kind of get the best of both worlds. You don't feel hungry,
Yeah.
and you kind of want to go do things. So that's
Yeah,
why
that's a big plus. And now you got a little activity to burn some calories,
Right.
and you're not taking in more calories, so
Correct.
it's kind of a winning formula.
Alicia Henry says they'll hook you up. Awesome company and products.
Well, hey,
That's
there you
from
go,
a
right
review
there.
yourself,
I mean,
you know.
right there, there's
Well, shout
testimonial
out.
from somebody unsolicited right there.
There
Unless
you
he
go.
paid him before the show, I don't know,
No.
but I can't
Alicia,
speak to
your
that.
check's in the mail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, man, it's not. I'm
So,
super
but your company, it operates out of Texas. That's where you ship from,
Correct.
and that's where your lab work is I
Right.
guess. But you do have, you ship everywhere.
Correct. Yeah, we'll ship all over the U.S. right now.
Yeah.
We're not shipping internationally just yet, but all over the
Sorry to all of you in Djibouti who are listening and watching. We do have a contingency of military in Djibouti,
US.
Africa.
I could probably get it over there, but yeah.
Yeah, well, they may have some African stuff you're doing. You might bring that back too for all of us. I don't know. All right. So, man, this is very exciting and very interesting. I think that, I'd like to have you come in regularly
Absolutely.
because there's so many different things that we can learn from this and expand our horizon and maybe, do some more self-care versus showing up and paying Big Pharma a little bit more money for
Right.
things
Absolutely.
that have a lot of inadvertent side effects, because,
Correct.
a lot of times in these things, you're talking about a handful of ingredients where these pharmaceuticals, it's an innumerable amount of ingredients that have been put together.
Absolutely. And everything that we have is pulled from a plant. It's natural. And we try to keep it in as most natural as possible
Yeah.
so that your body is able to digest it naturally. And you're right. It doesn't have as many side effects as pharmaceuticals, like just ibuprofen and Tylenol.
Right.
They
No,
affect your kidneys and your
to
liver.
to
and-
be factual, and probably a lot of people don't know this, but if Tylenol were to come through the medical trials of today, it would not make it on the shelf. Tylenol
Right.
has one of the worst profiles of problems of any over-the-counter medicine there is. And ibuprofen, while effective, is hard on your stomach.
It's hard on your liver as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my liver doesn't talk to me as much as my
If you've
stomach.
ever gone to
Yeah.
if you ever go to the doctor or you ever have something going on where you have to be put on Tylenol or ibuprofen, they always alternate every 4 hours, and that's
Right.
why.
Yeah.
It's because
How
one
it
is
clears up the
synthesized or
stomach.
one is metabolized through the liver, and the other is through the kidneys.
Okay.
So it's giving those organs a break in that in between time. That's all
Yeah.
it is.
So you're trying to run it through two different organs instead of all through one.
Right.
Yeah. So if you're just eating ibuprofen nonstop, it could be
You need to
problematic.
alternate with ibuprofen or Tylenol really, you should just switch to CBD.
Yeah, that might be better. Yeah, that might be better.
So, and if we are interested in doing that, the website again is.
BANTX or bantex.com.
And if we are driving down the road, can we just like give you a call
Absolutely.
and set up an appointment or something?
Absolutely. The phone line, the phone number's on there as well.
Yeah, if you need it right now, let me just give you that phone number. That phone number would be 210-889-8416. It's 210-889-8416. Or again, just go to BANTX.com and take a look under the hood, see what's going on.
Absolutely.
Check them out, do some investigating, read some of the stuff on there. I think that, I ask you to come on because I enjoyed meeting you and just talking about it. I like to talk to people who know what they're talking about.
Right.
And this stuff can really, whether it's the CBD or the THC or the combined version, whatever it is, can really make big differences in people's lives.
Absolutely.
Managed properly.
Correct.
Managed properly, like anything else, right? It managed properly.
Absolutely.
It can make a huge difference, but you can't just show up at any gas station, walk away with something and go, yeah, that's going to do it, because it probably ain't.
Yeah, and that's the problem with the market right now. The market's so saturated since the
And with a lot of junk.
2018 Farm Bill, and that's another thing we should talk about, legality here. How do we even have hemp shops?
THC
in-
9, Delta 9, or whatever
How
whatever
do
it's
we even
called.
have all
8,
these things
9.
available? How do we have this in
Loophole.
Arkansas?
A
and all that kind of
loophole.
stuff? It's
an
the 2018
unforeseen
Farm
loophole.
Bill.
Yeah.
And
No, they haven't closed it yet.
they haven't closed it yet. It's up for another year, and I don't think it was a loophole.
No.
If you actually read into the legislative side
You
of
think they purposely
digging into-
carved it
I
up?
think Trump purposely did. Yeah, absolutely. He legalized marijuana without legalizing marijuana.
I got you. I
100%.
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting. All right. Well, you don't have to go anywhere. You can stick around. Let me swap you out real
Yeah,
quick, and then I'll bring you back up for a
All right.
panel conversation here in a few minutes if you stick around.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Come on up, Chase. Oh, okay. Well, we take those. Come on and have a seat, man. Throw those headphones on, man. It's like an airport in here today. Trust me. Dr. Marla's here too.
And we still got more guests coming.
Now, full disclosure here, somehow, some way, if you believe this, and I still am not certain it's not a lie that's been told to me for a long time, apparently this is supposed to be the child of this lady right here, but I don't know.
It's true.
It's hard to imagine that she's even old enough to have a child with a beard. You know what I'm saying?
She started young.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
so did I. Chase Murphy, you're with Good Day Farms, correct?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah. And man, first of all, congratulations to the company for its amazing growth. I've seen you guys really doing a lot. But you come today. What I ask is, as I wanted to learn more about the specific science and behind marijuana and what you're doing now that differs. We talk a lot jokingly here, and I think you'll get what I'm saying, that when I was a kid and I'd go see my urban pharmacist, aka my dealer, I'd get a bag, and whatever was in the bag was what was in the bag, right?
Yeah.
It might have been Mexican dirtweed, which give you a headache. It might have been, what they would call Sensimilia or Christmas tree, which was pretty normal. And occasionally you get something called skunk. It just, had a little stinkier smell and people dug it. But most of it was pretty much the same general THC profile. It's pretty weak, but it's changed a lot. Science has changed it. It's come a long way. What's different now? How do we manage this? How do we continue to enjoy smoking but not overdo it with these high THC counts? And how much does THC even matter in percentages?
Well,
Threw a lot of questions
yeah,
at you at
yeah.
one time, but I've been waiting,
No, it's great. I can definitely relate to. Was it Mexican dirtweed? Was it whenever I was buying? Whenever I was first getting into the game, it was Reggie Mid's Dro.
Okay,
You,
yeah.
you might have some decent mids that they call 50. You know,
Yeah, I
and that's
quit. I
just
quit
some guy.
smoking weed for a while. When I came back, and my guy said, "Do you want Reggie?" I was like, "I don't know. Is he a good guy? Has he got good prices?"
Yeah, you said you
I didn't know it was different. Things changed. We didn't have Reggie. We just had weed. So anyway, you had Reggie, fifth wheel dro, whatever.
Yeah. Just you had no idea what you were getting.
Right.
But things have absolutely changed. Gosh, we didn't know what THC we were getting. You're right. And as far as THC goes, they'll tell you it doesn't matter at all. That really that's the psychoactive property. I personally like to use it as a good indicator as to how well the plant was taken care of.
Okay.
So I guess I should get closer to the
Well,
microphone.
it does make you sound better.
Oh, well, thanks.
You
Yeah.
sound a lot sexier when you get close to it. How about that?
Anything to help this voice. It is, yeah.
You're doing fine. You're doing fine.
But yeah, THC I like to use as an indicator as to how well the plant is taken care of. So if if you've got a good high, mid 20%, you're
Yeah.
breaking into the 30s. Obviously, that plant was well taken care of. It was delivered the nutrients that it needed at that time.
Okay, so the higher THC count is a direct correlation to the nutrients and the quality of the plant life before harvesting.
Well, it can also be an indicator of genetics.
Okay.
So there are strains that are bred to be high THC. They're always going to be something incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you get something like White Widow, for example, big favorite of mine, White Widow tops out at like 18%. You might see one at 20. So if you
Mhm.
see it come through and it's 15, 16%, that's pretty good.
Now
You're
hold
you're
on.
doing
Now,
great.
let me just hit pause here because you've said something that really piqued my curiosity. You're a person who has access, uh, just by proxy, to what you do of any kind of flavor you could pick from. You know all the flavors. You know where all the good ones are. You're telling me that one of your favorites is one that runs 16, 18% THC.
Yeah.
Versus telling me one of your favorites is the one that's 28% THC. And you might expect someone who's an expert in the especially euphoric effects of marijuana, that you might want to be in a bigger, stronger formula. Why is that one a favorite? Tell me about that.
What I look for is terpene profile and effect.
Okay.
So I have my medical card for intractable pain, but I also kind of use it to shut off the internal monologue.
Right.
If I can sit down and focus on one thing instead of being everywhere all at once, it's a lot more pleasing day for me.
Okay, that makes sense.
So White Widow, really, even at its lower THC, the terpene profile of that one, it'll have me putting the milk back in the pantry and the cereal back in the fridge.
Yeah.
Really quickly.
Right.
And so I just enjoy the effect. It's something that cannabis, is really unique in that user expectation is a part of the profile of effects.
Yeah.
So it's a mood amplifier like any psychedelic. So if you expect, you're in a bad place and you smoke a joint, you might feel a little better about how angry you were, but you're just dwelling on it.
Right. I got you on that.
And so you kind of have to, especially in a medical market where you can be catered to, where you can go to a bud tender and say, hey, I'm looking for pain, but also, I need a laugh every once in a while,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
You've really got to get out there and try each one individually.
I noticed, if you go if you go look at the website before you go to a dispensary, right? Sometimes you can search for, instead of THC or this or that, the effect, happy, or this or that. What's a happy terpene? By the way, how does it determine this weed makes me happy and this weed may not make me happy? I mean, I don't know.
Well, there are some known effects. So like alpha pinene, for example, if you have PTSD, alpha pinene is going to more than likely produce anxiety, whereas limonene is going to be an anxiolytic. So,
okay.
Yeah, so
Is
something
that how
like
you said limonene?
limonene.
I've been saying
yeah.
limonene forever. I'm an idiot.
It's okay. I say terpinolene. Some people say terpenylene. It's
Okay. I
person
got
to
you.
person. But yeah, limonene, something like a blue dream might make.
Yeah,
you
that's a good. I
uplifted
like
and
Blue Dream. That's a good
euphoric.
mix too.
Oh, see, but green crack. Are you? A big
That's
fan
my
of that?
favorite.
That's your favorite.
That's my all-time favorite.
I'd be willing to guess you don't have PTSD then, because
I would have thought I did, but I guess not. I guess not. Maybe the green crack fixed it. I don't know.
I am not a doctor.
No, that's definitely that. I'm typically, thus far, I like a sativa. Normally, I usually pick sativas. Now, I could be completely off on this, but for my chemistry, it seems like sativa is my upweed, indica is the chill weed. So I hybrid out, on the other,
Right.
but normally, like I don't normally smoke in the morning or anything, but let's say at 2 o'clock, if I'm going to smoke, I'm going to smoke a sativa because I'm not trying to lay down. Is that a fair assessment or is that not?
In some ways, yes, and in some ways, no.
Oh, please educate me.
So what we commonly use, sativa, indica, hybrid, what we're describing is effect.
Okay.
So if you were to go to a seed bank somewhere and, let's say everything's legal, right? And
Right.
you were to choose a sativa, they would
Uh-huh.
hand you a seed for hemp. So
Okay.
cannabis sativa is the non-THC or delta 9 THC
Okay.
producing plant. Anything that you are consuming is a cannabis indica plant.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow, that's amazing to know.
And that's something that kind of comes with legalization, right? We move
Right.
away from these colloquial terms and toward a more scientific categorization of the plant.
And that's what we're trying to do right now, and you just educated me. So sativa, when they say that, or hybrid or indica, it's describing the feeling, not really anything else.
And those are affected by terpene profile.
Okay, so really, as I suspected, and we've talked about a lot recently, terpenes are a big driving factor when combined with the motor of THC.
Very much so. Yes.
Yeah. So what are some of the, terpenes that people should look for certain things? I mean, obviously you said limonene, anti-inflammatory. Also, you used a great word. It meant anti-anxiety, I think.
Anxiolytic. Yep.
Anxiolytic. Yeah, that's a good word. I like that word.
I like beta caryophyllene, which is also an anti-inflammatory. It's actually in black pepper.
Okay.
Kind of a little bit of spicy flavor, and
Yeah.
Also a depressant, right? So chills you out. That's
Okay.
If you see beta caryophyllene in this, you're like, okay, I'm about to sit down. That's gonna be
Yeah, I'm gonna chill. Yeah, I'm not gonna be hyper focused on that one. Probably.
No, not very much.
No.
Linalool, another one. It's
You
found
said what is it?
linalool, Linalool.
Linalool. Okay.
Linalool. Found in lavender. Very
Yeah.
relaxing. Another a couch lock one, or excuse me, a relaxing one.
Right.
Myrcene, that is couch lock. They say that high in myrcene, you're definitely going to be stuck to something. Don't have
Okay.
plans for the
Okay.
afternoon or
So
anything like
see,
that.
that's something that if you're looking, at the medical marijuana and you know what's in, if you know it's myrcene, you can go, okay, well I ain't going out on that one. I'm going to sit down and watch TV for a while or have a snack or whatever.
Yeah, get some limonene or some beta caryophyllene and go out.
Yeah.
Or terpenoline is.
Yeah, terpenoline.
Terpenoline.
And what is that one?
That one is actually really interesting. So there are multiple layers of terpenes. There's alpha, beta, and sesquine. I might be saying sesquine wrong. But depending on which terpenoline you are working with, it is either a little bit of a stimulant or a depressant.
Okay.
It's one of those things where kind of like, I hate to draw the comparison, but hydrocodone, right?
Yeah.
If someone gives you a small amount of hydrocodone, it doesn't really bring you down as much as it will focus you. But in large amounts, opiate depressant.
Right. Okay. So if I'm coming, to a dispensary, how should I begin to evaluate A, which one to pick, and B, how much is right for me? I mean, and I know most people just, look, it used to always be an issue for my wife when she would try, no matter what, if she smoked more than 3 hits, she'd get anxiety. Now over time that kind of changed, that profile changed a little bit, but some people, it just boom. How do you know what to start with or what's right for you, and then how do you know how much should I really smoke? Because I don't want to call people out, but some people that I know and might be related to me like to smoke blunts, and I'm like, I don't I'm not saying that's wrong. That's fine. It's expensive, but why isn't there a point where it's not really doing much more for you?
Yeah, of course. There's a point of diminished return.
Yeah,
Right. I personally, I'm a one hitter guy.
yeah.
I keep a dugout. You know,
Okay,
it's
I do
way
a little
easier.
pipe. Yeah,
Yeah. As to how you can decide person to person, it's personal choice. It is, I would say, take a scientific approach.
Yeah.
Try a little bit. Keep some CBD on hand. If you find yourself too high, you can take a CBD vape or some CBD gummies. They take
like
a little
from
longer.
Bantex,
Like from
VANTX. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There
yeah.
we go. We know a guy, right?
Yeah, we know a guy. That's right. I know a guy.
So CBD counter affects the psychoactive effects of delta 9 THC. So if you find yourself in a place where, oh no, I've overdone it, I'm not a blunt smoker, I'm a dugout smoker.
Yeah.
Hit your CBD vape and it should bring you back down, help level that out.
That's pretty amazing, actually.
Black pepper and cinnamon do the same thing, and it's because of the terpenes.
That is true.
He said black cinnamon or black pepper and cinnamon will do the same thing because it's.
Too high, puts them in your mouth.
Wow, that's wild. That's wild. That's interesting. Interesting. So, how do you guys, how does it get to you? You have to have growers all over the world, I'm sure. Also, I assume that you have that Good Day has its own grow ops, and you also carry other products from different operations. Is that pretty fair to say?
We occasionally will white label for other companies. I think that's as much as I'm allowed to say.
Okay, no, but I mean,
we
but
don't-
you don't just carry Good Day Farm products in your dispensary.
Oh, in the dispensaries?
Yeah.
No, we carry a range of products.
Yeah, no, I don't
farmers,
know
that sort
about
of
your
thing.
generic program
Oh,
there.
no.
Not asking about that.
But yeah, no, I work on the farm side. So,
Okay.
As far as how they get their stuff, they get it all from us. We grow the plants in house. We're vertically integrated, so we have a laboratory in which we're processing distillate, a kitchen in which we manufacture edibles. Everything's done.
Okay,
And then
so let's talk about this. Is where it really starts to get interesting to me. So you grow whatever flavor that we're growing, right? But then the terpenes are added after the fact. Is that right? No.
no, they're actually a part of the plant.
So
We
it
use that-
does grow within it. So you genetically, when you make the hybrid, it adds those terpenes in naturally as it grows.
So we don't breed, but yes, if you were selecting, let's say you had some plants and you want to cross Blue Dream and Green Crack, since we talked about those.
Yeah.
Right? You want to cross those two, you would have a male and a female of one of each. Cannabis plant is wind pollinated, so there's a male that produces flowers and pollen. The female is the ones that we smoke. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So you would
Females taste better.
they do, in my experience.
I don't know what that means, but yeah. Anyway.
The male plants, they're too what's the word, chlorophyll, too
Yeah.
chlorophyll-y, right?
Yeah.
Don't get you high, it's just a headache.
I bought a lot of that when I was young, apparently.
Did you go to weed college or something? How'd you learn all this knowledge?
I started smoking weed in 2005, somewhere in there, and it really fascinated me. And I know.
Sorry, Mom.
And
Sorry, Mom.
and so
Success came at a price.
All those times when he was spending hours in his room playing video games?
that's
He was
yeah,
researching for his job.
Right.
That's-
He was preparing
it
for
worked
his
out.
career.
It worked out
Yeah.
okay, right?
Good job.
So it fascinated me. And as legality, swept the nation, I tried to stay informed. I have a cannabis primer as well for physicians. Excellent reading material. I don't know if you brought that along. Or
He
if
did.
it's-
He
okay.
did.
And so it's always fascinated me, and so I began, researching it. You're right, absolutely. What does this one do?
Yeah.
And then I fell into the industry after getting out of engineering, and so I've always had a knack for finding out more about what interests me, right? So
Absolutely, yeah, engineering.
So I got out of that. I started working in a dispensary while I was going back to school. Learned as much as possible. Learned from some really good people there. Custom Cannabis out in Alexander.
Yeah.
Worked there.
Yeah. I
It
know
was-
those guys too. Yeah.
It was a it was a great time. I ended up leaving there for Good Day and just trying to learn as much as possible. And now, unfortunately, to some degree, I don't work with the plants every day. So I work in automation. So now I'm back to engineering. They tricked me.
They ran you all the way around to bring you back to engineering, didn't
They
they?
got me.
They
so.
suckered your ass. You're still going to be an engineer, son. So tell me, I've only known one person who's worked in a grow operation. I guess I know two, but this person would tell me interesting things about that. That the shoes that you wear matter, and that they get checked often before you have to brush them out to make sure you're not taking weed is jammed up in the grooves of your shoes out of the facility. Is that correct?
Yeah. In both directions. Nothing in, because we're a biologically secure building.
Right.
So, if you bring in a gnat from outside and it starts
Sure.
reproducing, we could lose a room.
Right.
goodness.
Yeah.
So on the way in, Tyvek suits and full bunny suits. All you
Yeah.
see inside the grows are just people's eyes.
Really?
Yeah.
So everybody wears a hazmat.
Yeah, and those people that are going to be moving in between departments, they're in scrubs. So if you're in a packaging room or something like that, you're completely
I
scrubbed.
thought you were supposed to be naked in those rooms. Maybe that's just
With-
in
with gas
cocaine. I'm
masks
sorry.
on.
Yeah.
Different
Yeah.
industry.
Different business. Yeah.
I've been in those shops too. There's
Yeah.
a different vibe.
Different vibe. Yeah, different vibe altogether. Yeah. You're right about that. I don't think we're going to find that one soon. The legal cocaine market, probably not happening soon.
Recreational.
It's close. The closest it's ever going to get anyway.
It feeds other industries, right?
It
Like
definitely
the
feeds
tiny,
a lot of industry.
tiny dollhouses and sports cars.
So-
There's a lot of purchases being made.
How do you make sure that people aren't absconding with look, if I'm that kind of person and I'm in a grow op, right, I'm thinking, man, I just put a little in my pocket here and there, and by the time I leave, man, I'm gonna have a fat sack every day.
We've had people try. And
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, the weed that you would get from just cutting it off a live plant, it's harvested early. It would be kind of shit.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't know if
okay.
I-
No, you're good. You're
Okay.
good. Don't panic.
So it wouldn't be mature. It wouldn't have enough. Wouldn't really have a lot of THC in it.
Gotcha.
And then also we have an incredible amount of security. There are cameras everywhere. Every square.
I
foot of the
assume
building
there
has one.
probably were.
Yeah.
I would assume the same as the pharmaceutical place or anywhere that deals with a product of that kind, where someone might want to put it in their, like, I'm sure wherever they make fentanyl, I'm sure those people are,
Yeah.
very well scrutinized. But anyway, okay, so
And we have had people try. I mean, don't get me
oh,
wrong.
I'm
yeah.
sure, yeah, no, you have to, I'm sure. So Good Day it does make it's a long time operation, right? I mean, it's one of the original. I mean, it's been around a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah. 5 years, almost 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 4.
Okay.
It seems like longer.
It does seem like longer, actually, to be honest with you. It seems like it's been way longer than that. So what are you seeing in, the industry in general, as far as the growth and everything going on? Is it still gaining steam? Is it plateaued? Where do you think the market is?
Thanks for asking. I think I have a pretty unique viewpoint because we're a multi-state operator. So I've seen the recreational side, the medical side, and the extremely strict medical side in some
Mhm.
states' cases. Right?
Yeah. Which would we be?
We're somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so we're
Yeah.
not the extremely strict.
Not extremely, no. On the state side, we're actually pretty cool. If anybody from the ABC is listening, you guys are pretty cool.
You guys are real nice now. You hear? Got a shirt for you. Come on by.
Yeah, we love you. We're actually pretty cool. Our legislation understands. Our regulators are all pretty understanding. Whenever
Yeah.
there's some sort of infraction, they seem to, hey, this is a common sense thing. Okay,
Yeah.
we still get a fine, but
Yeah, I get you.
You
But
know,
they don't try to smash you over it anymore, you know.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. In Ruston, or in Louisiana, excuse me, for a little while, regulators there were so strict that everything in the room, down to like a broom and a dustpan, had to have a shadow board. Like it had to be, there could only be one. It's considered a tool of this process.
Oh,
So
a shadow board, like when you have a
like,
carve out for
yeah,
tools in a
Oh,
shop.
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So that even though it's sealed plastic, it's a dustpan, right?
Yeah.
That could be considered contaminated with plant material, so it may never
Oh,
leave this. You know,
right.
it's
And of all places to be, New Orleans, really?
it's
Everything there will kill you. I mean,
and they've since gotten pretty relaxed, but
To back up what you were talking about earlier, as we were asking about, hey, somebody kind of sliding stuff
Yeah.
in their pocket or something. You had mentioned that it would be shit because it's not really matured yet.
Mhm.
Latasha on YouTube asked, "How do you know when a plant is mature? Like, what are kind of the things y'all look for?"
so because we are on like a grand corporate scale, we've actually gotten to the point where we've researched strains and we know on a cycle of how many days when those plants are going to be mature.
Okay.
But if you were looking at home, what you would do is you'd get a jeweler's loop, the little magnifying
Yeah,
glasses
yeah.
for one
I
eye.
used one when I was a pawnbroker.
Oh,
Yeah,
there
you talking about one of the
yeah.
you would look at the rings to check out the diamonds.
Yeah,
and everything,
exactly. So
the quality.
you would get one of those and you would check out the trichomes on the plant.
Okay.
So as they begin to grow, they're a little stalk with a resin head at the top, and they would be clear. Whenever they mature, they kind of get milky and eventually begin to turn to amber. I think, as you would probably know, as CBN degrades to THC. There we go. This guy.
here,
Thanks, man. Thank you.
You want me to
here,
mature?
yeah, Marla, will you swap back? Come back over, man, and join us now. Now we'll put the team. We'll put it all together here
Yeah, right on.
and work in
We'll put
concert.
the enhancement with the there you
Yeah.
go.
So go ahead with your question here.
So yeah, as they mature, they get milky, and it's about then that it's time to harvest.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want me to add to it? Simon?
Well, I was saying, did you have an ad there?
Yeah, just the plant mature process. So as the plant is budding and maturing, it starts out, there's two components in there. It's gyranol diphosphate and allopulic acid,
Okay.
and those combine to become cannabigerolic acid.
Okay.
Cannabigerolic acid comes in contact with three enzymes. It's THCA synthesate, CBDA synthesate, and CBC synthesate. And then with heat, or over time, through the process of decarboxylation, they change into they convert to THCA, CBDA, and CBCA, and then through heat, they convert to THC, CBD, and CBC.
Right. Should
And then
you happen
over
to set it
time,
on
like you were
fire,
saying-
there are some effects. That's
Right.
what we're saying.
You set it on fire, there are some effects, but also just with heat, that's
Yeah.
decarboxylation. But over time, like you said, it will eventually all turn into CBN.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Interesting. So, here's a question for you. So, look, I know most dispensaries, have a tiered menu. Good Day being no exception to that. So, I might come in on a given day, and you have, and I don't want to get over specific because I know there are some rules, and I want to be wise about that. But you might have a $15 eighth. But the same flavor, you might also have a $25 eighth. But popcorn bud versus regular bud versus what are the real differences when you get the value pack versus the premier or the more expensive variation? And I guess what I'm saying is, what makes something $15 versus 25?
I would say location on the plant is and size of the buds. So
Okay.
whenever you're getting popcorn buds, those are not trimmed down or cut down to be that small. They're that small, and they were developed later in the growing process.
So when they harvested, they weren't fully developed yet, and that was the bloom of the popcorn or the bud, right?
Yeah. If you look at cannabis plants that are grown indoors, they almost all look like shrubs. Less of the big stalk and the branches and buds shooting off, and more of a plume that comes up from the bottom.
Mhm.
Naturally, plants love light, So the top of that, the canopy of that, is going to get all of the light. It's going to use the nutrients. It's going to be able through the Kelvin pathway. My chemist or my old biology teacher might have just had a heart attack. So through that process, the plants, they photosynthesize, and that's where all your nutrient, all the water is being brought up.
So the difference then in that 15 and 25 could be a potency. It could be the moisture.
Yeah.
Terpenes play a huge role in that. Terpenes specifically are very light dependent.
Okay.
So, like you were saying earlier, how do you determine what's a good weed? Well, I look at the terpene profile because it's very light dependent. It's very soil fertility is super important, as well as genetics have a play in that. But those are the top two things. So, like he's saying, the top of the weed gets the most light. It gets the most light. It's also getting nutrients. If it's grown correctly, that's going to be the highest content of.
So that, in other words,
terpenes.
in a perfect world, that top of the buds there that gets the most light is going to have the most of everything
Yep.
in it. You know, whatever the full possibility of the plant is, that's the part that would achieve it, and that's the part that probably is the more premium cost.
Yeah, well, I'd say your THC, your CBD, your other cannabinoids are probably relatively close to the same throughout the whole plant.
Yeah,
And the reason is because that's age dependent.
yeah,
It's not really. It does have a little bit of how well it was grown,
okay,
but from top plant to bottom plant, usually a THC is about the same.
okay,
It's the terpenes that change.
okay. So just the terpenes that really change. Now, sometimes there's another tier. You know, the tier that I never buy from. You know, the more expensive ones. What justifies that? And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying, but educate me so I know, why would I invest more? What is that going to yield for me as a user of that product?
I mean, is it just general like
It could
you
be
have
could be
top shelf
supply and,
alcohol.
well, you do. You can have
Like,
supply and demand.
I think that's
Right.
all it is. I think it's just
Marketing.
marketing.
Marketing. Okay, no, that's fair. That's why I ask, because I want to be smart about it, as does
Yeah.
anyone else. You know, and
Well, let's be clear too. A lot of the cannabis shops, at least in my experience in Alaska, consumers want high THC.
right,
Like you were saying, White Widow, like that's your favorite. It's between 15 and 18%. Anybody who's experienced with THC is not looking for high THC. They're looking for a specific terpene profile and a specific bud that they like.
that matches their physiology,
Correct.
their chemistry,
Correct.
their genetics, etc.
The community as a whole, though, has been trained. If it's higher, it's better.
Right.
And so now what you're seeing is a lot of these cultivators on the market are just, let's breed as high as possible because it's going to sell. Does that make it really good? Does that make it top shelf and premium? Well, in their eyes, it does.
Yeah.
But is it really like top shelf and premium? In my eyes, no, it's not.
That is something you asked how the market has changed. Right?
Yeah.
And I think as markets mature, the consumer gets more educated. You get a higher percentage of people who are looking for effect rather than THC concentration.
Yeah.
And so, early on, I think you're right. The appeal is like, how do we just slap them? Just how do we hit 30%? But as markets mature, people are looking for, okay, what is exactly what I want.
So what does happen? What is different? Let's say that, for example, I had White Widow at 18, and then, next time somehow it was 22. What will there be? Will there be any observable difference in the performance of that?
Yes, my answer is yes.
Yeah.
You can have different cultivators that grow the exact same strain of marijuana, and you can have I won't say completely different effects, but the variation of effects can be different, and it's all based on how well it's grown.
Right. So I guess what I'm saying is, if it had 18% THC and 22% THC, would I expect it to A, last longer, B, be more euphoric, C, be more whatever? what would I observe that might be different?
The euphoria there would be more intense, right? As you're getting more of the psychoactive compound,
Okay.
you would probably expect a greater terpene profile from something that has a higher THC, although that's not always the case.
Yeah.
You can have 30% cannabis, and
I've not seen
1%
that before,
terpene.
but I'm sure it would be interesting.
I think it would depend on the totality of everything.
Right.
You need to look at the COA, which is the certificate of analysis, and determine their terpene profile as well as the THC percentage. If the 22% is higher in THC, but the terpene profile wasn't very good, then it might not be as good as the 18% who has a really good terpene profile.
Okay. Now, if I want to analyze these things, if I'm trying to be a smart, if I'm really trying to take this at the most scientific path that I can, how can I do research other than just, the fun way to do it? How can I find more out about, what terpenes are in which particular thing? How do you learn more about that?
There's a lot of good literature out there. Cannabis Medicine is a great one. Bonnie Goldstein, MD. There are books out there on Amazon. I'm blanking on which ones to send. Maybe I'll send them to you later, and you can put them in your
Okay.
chat. Or,
Yeah. So there are lots of ways you can become more familiar with that, and find the right blend and terpenes for you.
And
Is that you were talking about the certificate?
certificate of analysis
Is that something like when I go look up the profile on the website,
Yeah.
it shows green crack? Can I view that certificate of analysis on there? Or?
You should be able to, and then also anytime I don't know about all cultivators. Whenever you purchase a Good Day product, there's a QR code on the label, so you can scan that with your phone. It takes you directly to the certificate.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So from there, then I could look up the profiles and go to Google and type in the name or whatever. Find
And then
out.
I know that you guys approach it a little differently, with your organization. So I would think that a lot of that you see directly in your product, descriptions and whatnot. Is that
correct, because we use isolates, so we're able to
Right.
put specifically what I want in the product, and we have all of that on the website.
Yeah, so you can go to the
You
website
can
and
look
see
on our
exactly
website
what the
under
percentage
COAs
is and all of that.
There's not a percentage base.
Okay.
We don't disclose that information because it's
It's
proprietary.
proprietary.
We
I
don't
got
want somebody copying our recipes, but
But it does show
everything
what's
is
in it.
listed on there.
Okay. Okay. That's great. That's great. Okay.
Man, this has been
No, I mean,
phenomenal.
I think
seriously,
it
I'm
is
walking
too.
out of here with so much more information.
Well, I mean, and that's the point. That's what I told. Certainly when I talked to Jerry, I was like, so many people are consumers or interested in consuming it, but are so ignorant. Forgive me, I don't mean that in an ugly way. I just mean we're all a little ignorant because we just grew up smoking some weed.
Right,
I mean, honestly, and things have changed now. And people have changed. They've become adults, and they need different things, and different things impact them different ways. And so this kind of stuff right here can help somebody's life, literally. I mean, when you're talking about anxiety, you're talking about inflammation, you're talking about other conditions, your gut biomes, and all of these different things that if we start maintaining it the right way for our own body, it can really be a positive in our lives.
I talk with a lot of patients
Absolutely.
that ask me questions, and I'm like, I know this much,
Yeah.
but I know where you can find
This-
information because it is where they're headed.
Yeah, this is
Hydros, all these things.
this is Dr. Marla saying something I've never heard her say before, which she doesn't know something. I'm kidding. I'm completely kidding. I'm completely.
Do I need to get in between you guys and get beat up?
See, listen, I shouldn't mess with Marla, right? She's still got a case that
You got some PTSD from that little
yeah.
fallout between
She
you
needs
and
the one
Jimmy.
with PTSD,
Right.
not me. I'm good. I don't give her green crack.
If you
all
do
right.
come back, I'd like to know if you could bring some product with you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
next
And I'm
time,
sure
would
we'll
you
have
do
it.
that? Yeah, let's do that next time. A matter of fact, I'd love to have both of you guys come back. It doesn't have to be the same day. Can be. It doesn't matter to me. But I think that uniquely, both of you guys have some insights that we can continue to learn from, and become better consumers and better caregivers to ourselves.
Right.
And I know that, you know, different people are looking for different things from each of these, and I think both of them have a strong value because I do like smoking, but I do also like, especially in the early part of the day, I don't. I don't need the euphoria. I don't need any of that. I'm super hyper focused. I do real estate. I do a lot of business. I have to do this, and I can't do this right here if I'm like, you know what I mean? It's not going to work. You know, when I want to sit home and watch Oz, you know, hang out with my wife, yeah, I can get a little toasty, you know. But when I'm trying to close a $500,000 house, it's not a good time to, you know, be trying to get my tongue back to
Doesn't this
moisture.
room
And,
look like a great room to take a nap in?
yeah,
for a
right.
little
No,
while?
yeah, exactly.
That's when you use the THCV.
Right. Yeah.
Keeps you focused.
I did see you had some bags that you brought in with you. Did you bring us some?
I did.
Oh, look at
I don't know.
Rich.
You know?
Rich saw a package
I
and
don't
got
know which,
excited.
Hey,
I don't know which is which. There's a medium. You're welcome, Mom.
Well,
And there's
medium's
two-
definitely not me.
two XL shirts.
I'll take an
I'll take
XL.
it.
There you
Yeah.
are. And there's
I'm
a stress
fat.
buddy and a koozie. in there,
I
too.
need one of those strap man.
Yeah.
You see what I have to work with? I definitely need a stress buddy. No, man. This
I
is
brought you a
awesome.
shirt
Thank
as
you.
well. It's
Here.
all right.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I'm ready to rock that too, man. You are awesome. You are awesome. All right, let me get you guys to trade real quick with this guy. I need to visit with him for just a minute. You don't have to go. Bring you back up. We've still got a good a little bit of time, and still got an interview to air with Richard Anderson, the science fiction author. Come
Do you
on
want
up.
to sit right here, Marla, in between all the action
No,
again? I'm just.
absolutely.
No, come on, man. I'm gonna have him come up here and sit right here, man. All right, man.
No, man. You can. No,
Yeah, yeah.
sit right there. Go
Sit
for
down,
it.
man. Have a seat.
Free.
All right, man.
Yeah, man.
So Logan Light is here, and
Yes, sir.
very exciting. So first things first. Well, what you got there, buddy?
The Unified Northeast Arkansas Open Weight Championship.
Okay.
After a
So what?
successful,
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you have to turn this and loosen it up, and
I was
then
just on the line
reset
this
it. Yeah.
last week at Wrestling with
Yes,
Pride when I was
just
in-
on the line at Wrestling with Pride, I defeated Brandon Cruz.
Yes,
A
sir.
little controversial fashion. He,
And the chain that you guys were off the start, man. The match
Yeah.
back and forth between them two was
Well-
just right one after the other.
I'm super stoked to talk about that. Can I go backwards just for a second, though? First of all, let me introduce you to
Yeah, sorry,
everyone.
man. You're good.
Because maybe you don't know, this is Logan Light. And Logan is part of Vapor's Championship Wrestling, and he also is in other circuits as well. I mean, you compete in a lot of different independent camps.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that correct?
yes.
Yeah. Now, so let's go back to Ark and Brawl. I haven't seen you since then. Thoughts? Did you?
It was an absolutely phenomenal event. Like, despite things happening with one of the companies post Ark and Brawl, I'll keep my thoughts professional there. It was a phenomenal event. It was everything that Arkansas wrestling needed in that moment, and will continue to need to put us on a map. It proves that companies in Arkansas can come together. We can put on a super card like that and make it, 250 people. I don't know how many,
Yeah.
views around the world.
Like over 8,000 views.
Well, they live streamed it over 8,000
Yeah.
during the event. Yeah, which is kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah, like, I've wrestled in front of some pretty large crowds, 1,200, something like that. But seeing, 250 here and then like the 8,000 streamed just on the live stream alone is by far blows it out of the park in my short career in professional wrestling so far. Like going into Ark and Brawl, I think I was close. I just had passed my 3rd year of wrestling, my 3rd anniversary
Awesome.
on January 14th of this year.
Congratulations, man.
Yeah, seriously.
How did you get involved? By the way, how did you one day wake up and go, you know what I want to do? I want to get hurt in a ring a lot.
Happenstance.
That's what I did.
Well,
anyway.
and really, because he walked out with a couple broken, cracked ribs. So.
I do have a couple cracked ribs, but that's
I
neither here nor there.
feel that.
Now,
Yeah,
at
no,
the-
I felt it when he landed on me.
At the end of Ark and Brawl, as everything was kind of wrapping up, you had some words with in the
Yes,
ring.
yes. And well, of course, I know we're going to get to that because that Rude Awakening, if I'm not mistaken, on the name
Yeah,
of the event.
March 1st, Rude
Yeah, March
Awakening,
1st, Rude
Rude Awakening.
Awakening. Uh, that's coming up. That's right around the corner. I've got a couple more events for TNR and Pride. I'll probably promote while I'm here, just
Yeah.
to
Oh, yeah,
because
feel
we're all
free.
in alliance here.
No, it's great. The
And
more
of
the
course I'm
merrier.
one of their top guys with this championship here, so I would be doing them a disservice if I didn't.
Yeah, no,
absolutely,
please do.
definitely.
Uh, but how did I get into it? Happenstance, honestly. So I think it was around 2022. I actually tore my labrum in my shoulder at my job,
Oh,
one
okay.
of my jobs. And as I was recovering, I had a lot of time off of work. I'm a big Yu-Gi-Oh player,
Okay.
so a big card game player, and I was frequenting a card shop down in Searcy, which is my hometown.
White County.
Yep,
Mhm.
White County, Searcy, Arkansas. Uh, but and when I learned through one of the people that was playing cards with me that hey, I have this. It was more backyard. It was on a trampoline.
Yeah.
Come try, and you like wrestling, I like wrestling. Let's go try this. Uh,
We did a lot of that when we were kids.
yeah. Uh, I've watched wrestling as well since like 2008.
Yeah.
Like, pretty consistently. Like, my first memory of wrestling, and I've said this thousands of times in different promos. My first memory of wrestling was WrestleMania 24. The whole show.
Everybody remembers that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Tell me what was WrestleMania 24? I'm kidding with you.
WWE's big flagship, PLE now, pay-per-view back then.
Yeah.
It was the 24th annual WrestleMania. If I remember the order of the card correctly, and don't quote me on this, opened with Belfast Brawl with Finley and JBL, then the Money in the Bank, which CM Punk won. I'm going to forget so many matches here and there. I know John Cena, Randy Orton, Triple H for the WWE Championship.
So it was huge. It was huge.
Oh
for
yeah,
them.
it's their super card of the year.
Yeah.
Ending with Undertaker versus Edge for the World Heavyweight Championship, and of course, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair in Ric Flair's final WWE match. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of my first, where my love for
Foray.
wrestling started.
Yeah.
And then 2022, I got that shot at trampoline. The owner of that promotion was crap. Honestly, he was not great, and I'm not going to give him any credit to where I'm at standing now. Where I'm standing now, he has no credit to what happened. I found the promotion out in Searcy, which is unfortunate things have happened with that, and they gave me my big break into a ring. Within that same year, I made it to Hoxie, Arkansas, with Out of Control Wrestling. And it kind of was the rest.
Kind
It
of snowballed from
yeah,
there.
it snowballed. To wrestling
To
with
now you're the unified champion.
yeah. To like I went to Wrestling with Pride, then TNR, then Vapors, and there's like promotions from Oklahoma and Tennessee.
Thus far in your career, what would you say has been your greatest accomplishment?
This right here so far.
This belt is
Yes.
your greatest
Yes.
accomplishment.
It is by far, I actually had to work and grind well over a year between heavyweight championships for this.
Now, I need to unpack something because it's clearly it's going to be personal to me. But you, somebody a minute ago said that because right after Arkham Brawl ended, the actual matches, I had to go, and so I didn't get to stay for the afterglow and to talk to everybody. But something happened between you and Jimmy Buffet. Is that accurate to say?
Yes, I challenged him for his Vapors Championship, heavyweight championship, at their first show on March 1st at Rude Awakening.
What? Why? What led to this? I mean, not that I'm not all for it. I'm absolutely here for it. Just so you know. I mean, I hope that you stomp a mud hole in his back, but that's neither here nor there because I got robbed. Trust me, you. But anyway, let me pause on that. It's not about me. It's about you. What led to this moment? I was robbed. God damn it! I'm sorry. I apologize.
So
I'm not bitter.
And what I say here is no offense to anyone, to anything, but you were a great challenger. You were. You put up a fight. You
Well,
know.
but I'm not. I mean, obviously, I'm not
Right.
a trained professional. I've never done that before.
Exactly.
I mean,
But his last true challenger uh, was, he lost the heavyweight championship on his last true challenger.
so what you're saying is, and I don't take offense to that because, it's not like I've been training for 2 or 3 years, putting in the work and doing the matches. We had a skirmish that led to this, but you're saying that he really hasn't faced real competition, and that bothers you as a champion.
Yes.
You don't feel like he's earned it.
No.
He's not faced the gauntlet that he should have faced in order to hold a belt like that.
No, like when he was champion, he faced a lot of good challengers. But like I said, that last challenger he had, he did lose. I was there. I kicked the guy in the face with Insane Shane. Like that's documented. And from there, that challenger, that person that held the title, it got stripped from him, obviously. Right. And now here we are, where he wins a vacant championship against
a guy without experience.
Yeah, against the guy without experience, and it's like, man, if you want to call yourself champion, you've got to go up against some of the best. You got to be that guy that is willing to go against anyone, put it on the line, and prove why you're one of the heavyweight champions of Arkansas.
What was it Ric Flair said?
To be the man,
you gotta beat
exactly
the man, right? And you're saying he hadn't beaten the man.
No, not yet.
Not
absolutely.
that I'm not a man. I'm just not the man. Okay, the man.
You're not
Understand the
the
difference.
Lightning Logan Light.
No,
No.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I have to very clearly paint that while I did put myself in that position, and I got in and fought hard and got ripped off. Thanks, ref. But anyway, I never used it. Anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Let me focus. But the bottom line is that I didn't have all that experience, and so yeah, it's much easier to navigate around me than it is someone with experience like you, who really has been putting in the work and facing the competition.
Oh, absolutely. And another thing is like I've held double championships at times. I've been double champion. Like this is just a trip down memory lane. Action Wrestling Entertainment, we know that one promotion that was partnered with us. Right. I was their heavyweight champion. At the same time, I was the Out of Control Wrestling United States champion. That coined a little term I like to call Logan Two Belts. It's a fun thing whenever it gets to come around. And then for a while, I was the Wrestling with Pride Tag Team champion and the Action Wrestling Entertainment Tag Team champions. So, there's that. But now I set my sights on becoming, holding the Unified Northeast Arkansas Openweight Championship and the Vapors Heavyweight Championship, going back to, why I'm, one of the best up-and-comers in Arkansas today with, my multiple double title reigns at this point,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, that says a lot right there. Tell me, just from a personal standpoint, what has being involved and becoming a champion and performing for these crowds all over, the region, what has that meant to you?
The world, honestly. I come from a place of, and I use this term a lot, it's mental health and depression and anxiety. Something I deal
Have
with.
you met our CBD guy?
I try to stay as clean as possible. A little bit of alcohol here and there. I don't really smoke. No offense to you guys in here. Yeah, I believe in what you guys do.
More for me.
Yeah. But it's not my cup of tea.
No,
I go
smoked
basically
right before the
catatonic when I
match.
try.
Probably shouldn't have.
But no, it means the world for me. To give people an inspiration and someone to look up to when they are in their darkest hour, in their time of need, for that person to be like, hey, I've got you. Just keep pushing. You know,
Yeah.
something, I wish I could have had or saw or heard when I needed that.
Right.
And when I had to push through by myself.
Right.
I try to be that for the, 8,000 people or so that may need it, or the one that may need it that day.
Right. 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 Now I noticed, one of the things that about Ark and Brawl that I thought was really cool, and I guess I should have seen it coming, but I've never participated in something like that, which is how involved the kids were, and how I noticed when you're there, they're like, "This is," I mean, they're really chanting
yeah.
for you. They're really loving you. I mean, that's got to be special to have kids look up to you and want to be inspired by you like
Oh
that.
yeah, it is. It's absolutely amazing. It goes back to, like, you never know who's watching. You
Right.
you never know uh who may need you in that moment.
Well,
And
And speaking about, you never know who's watching.
Yeah,
Actually,
what's up?
Father is watching right now. He's commenting, and he says you're not Robbie Three Belts, and you can't even hold a candle to him.
and, and that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about what happened with Big Al at Wrestling with Pride, if he really wants to go that route, and
Well,
him
let's talk
losing
about that.
the Wrestling with Pride heavyweight championship to the Outsider. I mean,
This is 2025 Ark and Brawl
yeah,
Battle Royal winner. now
exactly.
Outsider.
Yeah.
So the Untouchables been
They're starting to
see
slip.
Cards turn a little bit.
They started to slip. I noticed that. And I'll give a shout out to Brandon Cruz. He's an amazing challenger. I feel bad for how the match went down at the end.
Yeah.
As a champion, I want to give him another shot, but he will have to earn it, just like I did.
Right.
That's coming from the owners.
Well, and I know you may have a history or you may not agree, but again, I'm not officially like one of the guys, I guess, but I am going to at least give some salute to the Rob father because he was at least somebody who tried to help me in every way he could to win my match.
I mean, Rob Father knows how. He's the kingpin for a reason. Like,
Right.
he's the kingpin for a reason. He has the Untouchables right here in the palm of his hand. If you're
He's
not
a very charismatic leader.
I was gonna
Yes,
say,
he is.
He saw an opportunity, and he took advantage.
Well, I know,
of it,
I know how you feel, Mean Gene.
getting his numbers up.
yeah.
Outside of the Rob Father though, setting up for March 1st.
Yes,
Rude
yes, I'm
Awakening
sorry. Yes.
Yes.
Championship match. You said you're not taking away from Patrick, but you feel you're a real challenge for Jimmy.
Yes.
So if you had to say, if you're warning him ahead of time, he's right on the other side right there. What are you telling him to his face? Why do you get the championship?
He might be big. He might be powerful. He might have the weight advantage, the power advantage. But I know I'm quicker. I know I can strike harder. I know that when it comes to the grind of professional wrestling, I'm in this thing week in, week out. As far as I know with him, he's in this once a month, once every other month maybe.
Well, that's
wrestling.
because he's busy at buffets. He doesn't have time to do anything else.
I'm in that ring, constantly working. I've got a show this Saturday for TNR, Heartbreak. I'm
Yeah.
going to be in the ring. Next weekend, I'm going to be in Hazen with Blazin' and Hazen for Wrestling with Pride and TNR
And
Championship
he's
Wrestling.
going to be playing Red Dead Redemption 2.
Exactly, and I'm going to be defending this championship. And then March 1st, I'll be walking into
Well-
Rude Awakening.
Well, I know that I don't really have skin in your game, but I'll tell you why that Logan Light deserves it more than Jimmy Buffet.
All right.
Because Jimmy Buffet doesn't even take it seriously. He's walking around in stupid Patrick Starfish kids' pajama pants, out there, not even trying to get into the shape that he needs to be the champion that he ought to be. And he's bad mouthing, talking about other people like Logan. Why you got Logan's name in your mouth anyway? Why are you even worried about that? You need to be worried about why you're fighting me instead of real wrestlers out here. Right? And isn't that what? I mean, I don't know, Logan. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
He does.
It's not for me to say.
I
You know,
mean,
I
he
don't know what I'm
does
talking
need to remember who I am. We've had run-ins before. I remember him as Brother Thorn back in OCW. The powerhouse he is. I know exactly what he's capable of, and I'm hoping to see that out of him again.
I think he might be capable of photosynthesis and not much more. Do you understand what I'm saying? That he has an IQ that varies between aloe vera plant and ficus tree. Okay, that's where we're at with that. Okay?
I'm trying to give him credit. I'm trying to give him credit where credit's due. As a champion, I do
think his
respect
credits
him.
run out.
I do respect him, but I will be a litmus test to why he's champion. I plan to be that for anyone or anything that steps in my path in 2025. I plan on making this my year of gold if I can.
You're going to hold every belt. He wants to hold every belt. There is. All of them.
March 1st, main event, you and Jimmy Buffet, Vapors Championship.
Hey, you know what? I'm a fan of the Rob Father, but you know, in this event, I'm coming to root you on. I'm coming to root you on. I'll tell you that. You know, Rob, don't be mad, but I'm going to have to root for Logan in this one because Jimmy's got it coming. You know you got it coming, Buffet. You know you got it coming.
The Untouchables have plans, and they always stick to the plan. So
Well,
we'll see. I think there's going to be a lot of eyes on your match specifically.
No,
with
absolutely.
Jimmy Buffet.
It's a heavyweight championship match. Why wouldn't there be?
For sure.
No,
Man,
absolutely.
I know you've
lot
been
of
busy. I
drama.
wanna
A lot
thank
of
you for
drama.
coming in and
Oh, it's
doing
no
this,
problem.
man.
It's no
Appreciate
problem.
it.
Thank you for having me.
Man, glad to have you in as always, Mr. Light. Thank you for coming by and enlightening us about what's going on. With
Oh,
you.
it's no problem. Once again, this weekend in Leechville, Arkansas, TNR Championship Wrestling with Heartbreak. And then next weekend in Hazen, Arkansas at the community center there, it will be Blazing in Hazen.
That's
All right.
Man, the crowd in Hazen is
It's crazy.
always
No,
wild.
always a great crowd out there. You know, we used to do some things out there, and there's not a ton of things to do. So if you got something fun, they're going to show up for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I'll be there both shows. I don't know what I'm doing this weekend, but we'll find out. I'll be there.
We'll see.
All right.
Look
Well,
forward to it,
thank you
man.
very
Appreciate
much.
you.
That's no problem.
Okay, let me very quickly get in a couple things that I need to. First of all, next week I'm hoping. What is it next week? No, 2 weeks from now. We'll have Kristen Riggin. She's going to join us. You know, from Riggin Law, and I've been telling you she's funny, and you're going to find out. It's going to be a lot of fun to have her on the program. And remember, if you're, you know, no matter what legal issue you're dealing with, maybe you know it's a probate, maybe it's something that's personal custody or divorce, whatever it is, Riggin Law can help you, and they're going to do it in a way that doesn't make you feel dumb. You know, she's going to talk to you just like a normal person. You're going to strategize together. You're going to come up with the plan, and she's going to execute that plan flawlessly for you. That's what they do at Riggin Law. You can check them out, rigginlaw.com. Be sure and check them out. Now, I was supposed to get to it yesterday, but something broke in my brain, and it didn't happen. So today I'm excited to air this. This is an interview with, let me get this.
Yeah, man. Is it this one too?
No, well, that's fine. This is an interview with Richard Anderson. Now, Richard M. Anderson is not just a science fiction writer. He's actually a scientist who decided to write science fiction. So this is what some people might refer to as hard science fiction, meaning it's really rooted in the science. Outbound Islands in the Void was his previous book. Now he's got Outbound Meta Mars, where we're now, you know, populating Mars, or that's the goal. So I wanted to interview him about his books, how he does it, and what all it means. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. So let's watch
check
this
it out.
interview with Richard Anderson here. I'm here with Richard Anderson, very excited. He is the author of Outbound Islands in the Void. Now, he's not just an author, mind you. He holds a master's degree in microbiology. He's operated in a clinical laboratory, but this book is a little bit of a departure for him. This is a science fiction novel that's based on a character named Virgil, the adventures he goes through, because in this novel, the Earth has become partially uninhabitable. And what Richard explores is the possibility of humans living in space. Richard, tell us a little bit about this, and you're on to chapter 2, the new version, where it's Meta Mars. You're going to Mars now that you've established this universe, correct?
Yes, that's right. And I do have a preliminary cover for that book.
We'd love to see that.
Shows a space ladder.
That's very cool. That's really actually a great cover, very captivating. Who does your cover art for you?
So that is Tim Kimmerow, and he's doing. He did the cover of the Outbound, the first Outbound book,
Okay.
and the internal art. So he's doing some more art for me. The back of the cover shows something like twirl towers. It's something I invented for a colony on Mars.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, man. So tell me, it's got to be challenging. I'm a little bit of a writer. My mom was a writer my whole life. And, I'm also a science fan. And I have a small science fiction piece I wrote a few years ago. And, man, what a balance it is to try to, keep the story moving and still keep the science in it. How do you balance that equation of using real science but keeping the story moving?
It's not easy, I can tell you that. One of the issues that I have when the book is finished is it's a bit disorganized because I don't follow an outline. I kind of lay out the science problems and see where they take me, what solutions I can offer, overlay characters, and then it doesn't necessarily line up chronologically at the end. So then it means going back and fixing all this stuff.
Right.
But I think the process is it's almost self-directed. I don't know where I'm going to end up when I start.
You don't have any idea, really.
Well, I do, but I'm not sure. Sometimes I take a detour, and the ending may be different than I first conceived.
Right. How long have you been writing in general?
I was practicing writing just as kind of a hobby before I retired. That's been 15 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I wasn't really doing anything serious until the COVID lockdown, and then I thought, well, now's
the time to shine.
Distractions.
Yeah, no, not a lot of distractions then. Who are some authors who you might say textured your influence in writing? Who do you admire?
Yeah, I got a lot from Isaac Asimov, but he had that was one of my early authors that I followed.
Amazing science fiction author, yes.
So, but I also saw some weaknesses in his stories, and that was he didn't really spend a lot of time developing characters or developing interrelated storylines. And so I thought, well, if he's selling books, and maybe I could improve on that. I don't know if I have, but he was an inspiration and his concepts, and also showed me that possibly there's some better writing out there. And then I collected a lot of classic science fiction books, which are on the shelf behind me.
Yeah. Isaac Asimov, one of the greatest science fiction writers of all time, certainly. How did it feel for you when your first science fiction book it goes onto the list and becomes a bestseller?
Well, that would be great. That certainly hasn't happened, but that would be great.
Yeah. How do you feel about the response from critics and from the readers of your book?
So far, yeah, I think the response from critics and readers has been great. When you walk into a bookstore, or the few that you can find, you're almost overwhelmed by what's out there, what's available. And then we're dealing with a culture too today that I don't believe reads as much as we did. There are a lot of distractions. There's a lot of sound bites out there and visual distractions. And even when I want to read an article online, there's so many ads in between that it's really hard to stay focused on what you're reading because it's supported by advertising. So yeah, there's some there's some issues there.
Well, it is a soundbite world, and it is distracting. When I read books, I like to read actual books for that very reason, because I want to be in that universe only, and nothing take me out of it. I feel like that's important to immerse yourself in the text that you're reading to be able to stay in the confines of the world.
Absolutely, and it's a reading. Getting engaged in a book is a great way to de-pressure from your daily life. Especially if you do it before you go to bed.
No, it absolutely is a nice way to kind of still yourself and thin out some of the things running around in your brain. So in Meta Mars, we've established what the baseline of everything was. So how does the adventure pick up and take off?
It's an attempt to develop the capacity to support a few 100,000 people on the planet. I know there's been stuff in the news about sending several million people up on Mars. Not going to happen. Not going to happen, and maybe ever. I don't know. So you need a huge support system to support animal life and human life in particular. And so the motivation was, how would you do that on Mars? You would cover Valles Marineris, which is a huge rift that runs along the equator of Mars. And it's about 4,000 kilometers long, and it's very wide and very deep. So we're roofing that over gradually and enclosing space.
Okay.
As it expands, we can develop agriculture, we can develop parks and natural habitats and so forth, and import people. So energy is a big problem. So I'm addressing how that would happen. It's also very difficult to land payloads on Mars. And so I built the space ladder.
Okay.
And that's, that helps to solve that problem. So that was kind of exciting because it took a little bit of research.
That's really interesting. I saw that it not far back, there was a report that they discovered that water actually had existed on Mars. And, does that get incorporated in there, some of the more modern discoveries?
Yes, and I think the water, there could be liquid water actually deep underground and held liquid by the internal temperature of the planet. It's considered a dead planet in that it doesn't have plate tectonics and it doesn't have a molten center, but it does have heat, the heated creation of the planet. And so there could be liquid water, highly saline, a lot of salts dissolved in it, but that could be a source. And NASA and others are finding that there's evidence that there's quite a bit of water underground. Unlike the moon, there seems to be a lot on Mars.
Right. So when a book is labeled hard science fiction, it I think of hard liquor, it's the strong stuff, but how does that translate in science fiction, Richard?
Well, it's not a light cocktail, right? Yeah. So when I say hard science fiction, first of all, there's a scientific basis for I don't have transporters like the Star.
No tribbles showing up, nothing like that is what you're saying.
So I try to take science at its face and say what is technologically possible now and what's conceivably possible in the future. And also what is maybe not science fact, but it's supported by
current trends and evidence.
It's plausible. It's science plausible.
Yeah.
And that you're stretching out into the future. So that's how I define it.
There are some people out there who I'm sure you're familiar with who label themselves as futurists. And do you think through your research and what you've done now that in some ways you kind of slipped into the futurist category a little bit?
I do, yeah, and there's a number of benefits to that. We face a world today that there's a lot of depressing things going on. So for me, I say, well, it's not going to get better before it gets worse. That's my opinion. As far as climate and society and what we're seeing today, I'm projecting that out into the future. So let's get beyond that and say, okay, assume we're in a recovery mode after our disaster, and build on that. That gives it a positive effect, a positive spin. So then we can, I can escape into that when I'm writing, and that's my escapism.
No, that's great. That's great. So, when you were writing this, you've got the science background, but how did you go? How did you make it compelling for the reader? What did you do? What techniques did you employ? How did you go about making sure what you were writing was not only, good science, but good, interesting, compelling storyline?
I think you have to occupy your story, and you have to, pay attention to the leaves on the trees. You get down into very close contact with your characters. You develop a lot of themes based on dialogue rather than prose, and prose are necessary because dialogue takes a lot more time to get through something.
Sure.
So you have to pick the areas where you want to go to dialogue and develop concepts and develop characters. And a lot can be, and you describe maybe an intimate scene between two people or more, that maybe an emotional scene that will bring the reader into the story.
Right.
They are actually occupying the story with you. And then your characters. Well, when I create dialogue, the first pass, I want to get the information, what they're talking about, what is accomplished by the discourse, as far as the story is concerned. Then I go back and I say, nobody would talk like that. It's too scientific, maybe.
Right.
Grammar and all that.
Right. Yeah. You have to make it match the lexicon and the feel of real people.
Right.
Not that scientists aren't real people, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So then you go back and you throw a few non sequiturs in there in the conversation. That's what happens.
Right.
And they may be related, but they appear to be a non sequitur. And you try to, your grammar is a lot different. You think about how you speak and how people speak. And so that will also bring the reader into a more intimate relationship with the story.
Right. So, with the advent recently of what appear to be very close to humanoid robotics that are going on, as someone who studies science in the future, what do you think about where we're at, how close we are with robotics becoming a mainstream thing in homes and around the planet in general?
Well, I can speak. I speak quite in depth in this in Metamars, Outbound Metamars, because and I also in Islands in the Void, because I don't think we can succeed in space without robots, without intelligent robots. Now, I address sentient robots and Outbound Metamars. And that's interesting to develop. Will they be human-like or not? If they're self-aware, and I postulate that they will not be human. It will not be human-like intelligence. They may be self-aware, but they won't have the sensory input that humans have. They won't sense. Well, I have a robot who becomes an etiologist, becomes a sommelier, and he's very skilled at tasting wines.
Okay.
And so he dips a little rod from his mouth into the glass of wine. First he sniffs it. He has sniffers on his fingertips.
Okay.
where he sniffs the wine, swirls it, does the whole routine, and then he can grade the wine and everything, but he can't taste it.
Not really.
He can sense the acidity. He can sense the various chemicals and identify and know what the balance should be, but he can't taste it.
That's very interesting. Yeah. How much do you think that, science fiction of the past has influenced science of today? The Star Treks, the Star Wars, etc., the Isaac Asimovs. How has it influenced our current science and informed it?
I think a lot of science fiction has been written by scientists or people who are really interested in science. Even if it's toward fantasy, it's a venue where you can go and develop ideas that you couldn't do in ordinary society and ordinary situations. So you can identify a concept and as you invent your setting, you invent your artifacts and technology. I think it's contributed a lot to technology. The flip phone or the cell phone came from Star Trek.
Obviously, yeah.
And I think Star Trek, actually my kids got me a big atlas on Star Trek one time. I still have it. And in there, they were saying the biggest challenge was trying to keep ahead of science.
Right, yeah, absolutely, because you're exploding in the revolution of science at that time frame. Is beginning to happen.
Yeah. So I can remember the flat screens when they came on and Star Trek, and you had it mounted on your desk, and then instantly later, everybody had flat screens and iPads and
right.
So that was their challenge. So yes, I do think it's the creative edge of science.
Now, let me ask you a fun question here, because I have to imagine as someone who values science and who's as learned and educated in science as you are, that sometimes there has to be a movie you're watching and you go, come on, man, that's not going to do it. What movie from a science perspective really irks you?
There have been many. I would be remiss to try and list them because most of them have something that's just blatantly, wrong, and it disturbs me because I want to see. I don't want to see science used in a way that is not representative.
Right.
And so there's a description in Andrew Wyer's The Martian. At the end of the book, he creates a problem and then he resolves it and shows how you would resolve it. Now, that's where you get into plausible science because not everything he said in there would be really that possible or could be done exactly. But the idea was you create the problem and you use your knowledge and technology and science to solve it.
Right, to try to extrapolate something that would be, cohesive and sensible.
So there's the last scene in the movie and in the book when he's launching to link up with the Mars, the shuttle ship that comes back for him. And he's trying to accelerate to match their speed. They're slingshotting around Mars.
Right.
And he can't quite make it. So he unbuckles, he's in a spacesuit, and he goes out of the spaceship and he cuts his finger off of his glove and uses the pressure in his suit, the atmospheric pressure in his suit to give him that extra little
push.
boost.
Yeah.
A little push to get up to the shuttle ship. Well, I read something by a physicist, and he said, he wouldn't have been able to control his trajectory with his finger. He says your center of mass is right around your rear end.
He would have had to put a hole in the butt to make that work right. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah. So
That would have been a different movie then, wouldn't it?
It's a small thing, but it's kind of funny. When you think he said he would have been all over the place trying to control his trajectory.
No, that is a funny take. My favorite. I don't dislike it. Actually, I really enjoyed the movie, but scientifically, I knew as soon as I started hearing them, man, this sounds a little off. And that was Armageddon with Bruce Willis, if you remember that movie.
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, that's the one where they slingshot around the moon to try to, land on the asteroid and blow it up before so it'll split in two and bypass the Earth. And, they drop a nuke on it. And, all of the science for the most part was just out, there was no grounding in reality, but it made for a fun movie, I guess.
Well, that's like the Star Wars movies. They are totally unrealistic. I mean, there's nothing in them that speaks of reality, but they do create a lot of interesting places and planets, and of course the graphics and the storyline are exciting. It's space cowboys,
right? Yeah, it was a Western in space. That's what he set out to make, right? A space opera that's a Western.
So I think they have value. Those movies are entertaining, and I think it's fun for people to pick them apart and say, this is what's wrong here, and this is what's wrong there, and they could have, so they may not be scientifically valid, but it does create a discourse, and it does create some thinking about, some imagination and thinking about these things.
Richard, if you were going to tell someone, who has not yet seen the Outbound series here, if you were going to give them, 30 seconds of why you want to read this book versus, as you mentioned earlier, everyone that's out there, as there are innumerable, what would you tell them?
Well, I would say this is a peek into a possible future. And it's very heavily involved with environmental problems and then the fallout from that. So people, we evolved in such a way that we live in the present and we don't a lot of times look forward into the future very much. But our trajectory today on this planet puts us in a position where we could very well be in the situation we are in this book. So it's post climate disaster or cataclysmic disaster. And so I'm describing how populations are moving toward the poles, how the Amazon basin has basically turned into a desert, sluggish, muddy water, and it's pretty arid. The damage has been done to, say, all the Pacific Islands, that are atolls that are underwater, and those sorts of things. And then the migration pressure of populations moving into more temperate areas, which are north. In the northern hemisphere, you have most of the landmass, so they're moving into Canada, Siberia, North Europe, Iceland, Greenland, and Antarctica. The southern hemisphere, South America is the only continent that pushes close to Antarctica. Most of the other, or all of the other southern hemisphere land masses are fairly close to the equator. So there's going to be a lot of disruption in population. And how are we going to get through that?
So a lot of so it does focus on that, that particular part of that, how that migration could look, what could happen, how that would work from a sociological standpoint and all of those things, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, now that's exciting. And look, if you love science, I think personally, this is going to be a great read for you, both the previous Islands in the Void, but now Outbound Meta Mars. Now, Richard, if they want to get a hold of, and I'm sure many will want to read your book after listening to this, how is the best way to go about? How do you want them to do it? Do you want them to go to Amazon? Do you want them to go somewhere else, to your website? Where do we go?
Yeah, Amazon is good. You can order through my website as well. and I don't know. I haven't talked to my publisher, but we could set up some pre-sales on Metamars. That book looks into robotics, artificial intelligence a lot. The limitations posed by reduced gravity on Mars and on the Moon, and how would we resolve those issues? How would we support a population when you're talking? You have to support an ecology, not all men.
Right. So, what is your website, Richard?
Richard Anderson. Oh, geez, I never go there.
You don't have to visit your own sites. You know what you're thinking, I'm sure.
I should be checking on there all the time. It's and it was there. I got to set up a spreadsheet with all of my passwords and everything. It's Facebook. It's Richard Anderson Author. The website is Richard M. Anderson. No, that's not it.
About RichardAndersonAuthor.com.
AndersonAuthor.com.
Yeah, I found it there. RichardAndersonAuthor.com. You know, you got to be so many places these days. It's hard to keep up with all of them, isn't it?
I know. I should have that all.
No, listen, I understand completely. So you can go to RichardAndersonAuthor.com, or if you just like, you know what, I'm just ready to order it, then go to Amazon.com. Now, I did notice on your website, you've done something interesting. I believe you released a portion of a couple of chapters there where people could take a look at it and kind of see a little bit of it before they even purchase it.
That's on Metamars, yeah. I think the first couple of chapters are on there, and they, I'd have to read them again to see how much they've been revised, but
but it's a good peek into what the coming Metamars is, and gives you the idea of what's going and a little bit more about that.
Exactly.
All right, outstanding. Well, Richard, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Really exciting to have you on, and I'm looking forward to seeing Outbound Metamars and seeing what else you do. And I hope that as you continue, when you put that out and put out other books, that you'll come back and talk to us some more about it.
I'd love it.
All right.
Very much.
Well, there you go, people. Richard Anderson, thank you so much and have a great day. All right, we are back now, and a couple things before we go. Number one, super excited, and big thanks to Bundy of Bundy Electric. We just got our
Finally
new board in. That means tomorrow's show, we should be fully outfitted on microphones. Everything should be right again, and that is super, super exciting. Also, as you know, tomorrow's Valentine's Day, and I've been promising a gift to you. That gift is the interview with Gio from Giovanni and the Hired Guns. We're going to air that tomorrow. They have the show coming up at the Majestic in Fort Smith on March 15th. And trust me, when I tell you, this interview is the best I've done yet. And wait till you hear the end of it. You're going to want to stick around. This one is, you're going to watch it more than once, I bet. It's going to be good. Yeah.
Speaking about Valentine's Day and treats, mine's going to be here a little bit late, but great guest. Tuesday, we're going to have the burger chef, Michael Dampier, in studio.
Yeah.
He's also co-owner and GM of Vapors, but outside of that, he is the burger chef. He's made award-winning burgers, and he's going to come
make
in
burgers for us.
He's going to come in here and make some burgers for us to try out and
That's
talk
a banner
about some
day.
things.
Burgers are it, baby. I love it. I'm excited about that. Yes.
And don't forget, we got TNR coming up in Leechville this Saturday.
Okay.
And OVW star Tony Gunn is going to be up there.
That's
so
great.
Come
That's
check
great.
that out. And I know you have some news that we didn't get to cover, so I'm going to slide the microphone over here. Y'all, it's been fun. I'll see you back Tuesday, man.
Yeah, of course, my brother.
So a little bit of minute news. This is something that's been kept under wraps quite a bit, and I've been working with a silent partner on this. As I mentioned earlier, we had that shutdown of the other Cersei promotion, Action Wrestling Entertainment, and all that how it went down. It is not the end of Cersei Wrestling. I am working with a silent partner currently to open my own wrestling promotion in Searcy, Arkansas called Wrestling for Glory.
Hey, how about that? Yeah, man, that's awesome. WFG, baby.
It is not. We don't have any date set in stone. It's going to be a long, hard, rocky climb to get this going properly and the right way, and making sure that everything is, when we do have our eventual first show, it kicks off as smoothly as possible, and everything just flows like we haven't missed a beat.
Well, I'm sure if you're going to stick around and be part of this, we'll help you do that.
Absolutely.
I bet there's a lot of people who'd be interested in that.
I know you can't see him on
For
camera,
sure.
but-
Yeah. Chase over there. So let me go ahead and wrap up the day because we're running just a little bit long at this point. Number one, huge thank you to all of our guests today. Big thank you to Logan Light, now of Wrestling for Glory, as well as all of the others like Vapors, Wrestling with Pride, etc. Big thanks to Chase Murphy, who came in from Good Day Farms to talk to us about marijuana, about some of the terpenes, some of the different things of how you do that.
I learned so much.
I did
Seriously,
too.
great guest.
Yeah.
Great man.
As well, a huge thank you to Jerry Brumett,
Yes, sir.
from Alchemy. Let me say it right. I'm gonna mess it up, and I keep doing it. It's Botanical Alchemy Neutraceuticals, and he really educated us a lot about CBD, about how CBD works versus the traditional marijuana. So we got both sides of the plant in the conversation today, and I think everybody probably learned some things they didn't know, and that was really awesome. And of course, huge thanks to Rich Rockwell, the Bruce Buffer of Arkansas, for being an awesome co-host. And keep watching because the intermission,
Yes,
his
sir.
own show, will be launching soon right here on the PATP network.
I'm
Okay,
excited.
that's right. We're about to grow the network. It's about to become what it's supposed to be. Maybe you've been thinking about, hey man, I want to do a show. I want to do a podcast. Have something interesting? Maybe I have a forum for you. I don't know. Not just anybody can do it, to be honest with you. It's something we'd have to talk about, but we are going to grow this network, and the first show coming is the intermission with Rich Rockwell and whoever he has on there as well. As always, the ultimate thank you goes to you guys for being the greatest audience, the greatest fans on the planet. Can never thank you enough. Please share this, tell people about it. Just keep coming back, man. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you next time, okay?
Later.